There we go. All right, guys. What's up? Someone has feedback. Does anyone have a browser open? Okay, it's one of you guys since
it was Markus.
Was it? Okay. Anyway, so here's the plan. We're gonna do this as a weekly value stream that we decide to do. Credit for this to Austen. He's the one that came up with this idea, where we're gonna have just a bunch of guys who know their shit talking about various topics. So this is getting back to the value that we used to do a lot of on this channel, but lately has been something we haven't done as often. So the theme for this one is going to be, we're just going to talk about, this is going to be an overview for the big three types of games. So obviously those are online game. Then we have cold approach, day game and night game, and social circle. Those are the big three. So we're all going to just pitch in and talk about those. Obviously some of us are known for certain types more than others. Let's go ahead and just have everyone do an introduction for anyone in the chat, although I think pretty much everyone knows who you guys are since you guys have all been on my channel a bunch of times. But let's just kick off an introduction. So Austen, why don't we go with you?
Hey, I'm Austen Summers. I'm a dating coach based out of Florida. And I just teach people how to meet girls in real life. I have other things in my course. I do a little bit of the online stuff. I do a little bit of the social circle stuff. But primarily it's just teaching people at more beginner and intermediate levels how to improve their social skills, confidence, that kind of stuff.
And fun fact, I'm in Austin's course. All right, cool. Markus?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Sure most of you know me here. From Ultimate Man Project, similar thing, running dating coaching. So, yeah, you can find us at Ultimate Man Project on YouTube.
Michael?
Hey, what's going on, man? Michael Sartain. I've been coaching since 2008. I'm a male performance coach. I teach a lot of things, including I was a former U.S. military officer. I teach a lot of leadership stuff, communication, networking, and dating. And I teach a lot of brand building, how it helps your business and how it helps your dating life. But I specialize in social circle game, which is something that I've been doing for the last, probably the last 25 years, but mostly the last 13 years here in Las Vegas, doing nightlife events and throwing big charity events and stuff like that.
Here's an interesting thing we could just start off on. Does everyone agree that learning game helps your business as well?
Yeah. Well, I think in the highest levels, especially when it comes to what is Jordan Belfort calls it goal-oriented communication. In that case, I do absolutely think it does. I think when you get to the highest levels, like really, really good telephone sales guys or closers or closing from stage, very, very similar sort of social proof type of things that happen between the last mile with a girl and also when it comes to sales, but also when it comes to charisma, humor, timing, voice inflection, things like that. I actually think it's very, very similar. There's a couple of differences. I had a discussion with Austen Dunham about this specifically, but yeah, I absolutely, like, the more I get, like, I started selling from stage recently. I started doing, I started working on that recently because Owen Cook and I have been discussing it. And I got to be honest with you, man, it's like when you get to the highest levels, it does really feel very similar.
Yeah, I don't know too many guys that were good at sales that were not good with girls, or at least they were like above average. I do know a few guys who are good with girls who are not good at business, but that usually has to do with the fact that they can't stay consistently motivated. They're not disciplined. That's usually what it always comes down to. Not that they're not able to be successful, but that they have bad habits like laziness or just sloth or whatever.
Or Alex, they may have a crutch. Maybe what the reason why they're good with girls is because they work in a nightclub. They're really good looking. They got a friend who always has drugs around. They got a fucking mansion. Sometimes the crutch is where they become really, really good with women. But then you're right. Then when it comes to business, they're pretty bad.
I'm thinking back to like when I used to work when I sold solar panels. I used to have this fat Mexican guy that worked with me. This dude was like fat as fuck. He was Mexican as fuck. And this dude, I remember went to a strip club once, and he like was like, "Hey, mamacita," and like the girls were actually digging him. I know he got a bunch of phone numbers. I left early, so I don't know if he banged one of the girls, but that guy, kind of defied all the odds. I don't know. What do the rest of you guys think about this?
Yeah, so I would say it does. Even if you're in a technical field, it does, because when you're meeting people, it's social psychology, and when you're marketing your company, it's literally just social psychology. And the better you are with people, the better you are at marketing. So like, even if you're doing something technical, I think it helps you. And I'm sure all of us have like tons of student examples of they've mastered their communication, their social skills, their dating life, and then they find that they want to grow in other ways. There are obviously there's things at the extremes, like the small tail, where it's like most billionaires are quite bad with women. They're kind of strange. And then obviously people that go way too down the rabbit hole of meeting girls, they oftentimes do it at the expense of their own business growth because it's just so fun to get laid. But yeah, I'd say in general, yeah, improving your social skills is going to improve your ability to be a great business person, even if you're in a technical field.
I think one interesting thing to think about is that when it comes to like any career or at least any kind of corporate job, whether you're doing technical things or you're doing marketing, there's two parts to climbing the ladder. There's your technical knowledge, but there's also a big social component to it, like who can play the game better. And I think that's why the people at the top, like the managers, are not always the most talented people. They're just the people who had better social skills than the guy who was better technically, but just did not have good social skills, was just always on his computer. So I think that's also something interesting to think about. Like whatever career path you're on, it's not just your technical knowledge. In fact, some careers, it might be your social skills over your technical knowledge that allow you to climb higher. So yeah, my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, and I think it's a huge motivating factor. I think a lot of guys, the reason they go to business is because they always just wanted to get the girl, right? So I think that's motivating. But I'm with Austen. A lot of my students, to be honest, they come in, you coach them up, they start getting really good with women, and then they kind of forget about their business a little bit. So I think you need to find the balance there. It goes both ways, but yeah.
And I think that's because they view money as the way of compensation to make up for lack of attraction that they build with women. So if you can just teach them how to build attraction with women just straight off the bat, they don't really need it as much. But
yeah, I'd agree. And to be honest, like a lot of them need more of a balance. Like some of them come in and all they're doing is working, and I'm like, do you have any friends? They're like, oh yeah, like 1 or 2 guys. I'm like, how often do you see them? It's like not very. It's like how often you going out? It's like never. It's like, okay, well maybe you do need to take a break from work, right? Maybe there needs to be more of a balance.
Although that applies to some pickup guys as well. Like there's definitely some pickup guys who don't have many friends.
Yeah, legit. Yeah.
Also the concept of social proof. So I was talking to Ryan Pineda about this, and he was like, whenever I walk into a room or whenever I'm on stage and then my sales guys are trying to sell someone, if I go up to the guy and say, hey man, you should just buy the course or buy the whatever, he's like, they close like 100% because of my social proof. Like it's easier. Jeremy Miner said the same thing to me. He goes, if I was on every call, we'd do 10 million a day. He was joking, obviously, but he was like, that was so much better. It was the same kind of thing. If he's famous, then it's not even like warm approach anymore. It's like hot approach. And so it's the same kind of ideals with social proof, I think, work with business and also work with dating.
Yeah. Social proof is interesting though, because not all social proof is the same. Like I guess the first level of it would be like a written testimonial, right? But a lot of people are like, I think 15 years ago, those were great. Now they probably help a little bit, but people are just like, maybe this was all fake. People easily dismiss those. Next level would be, I would say, like a video testimonial, right? Those are harder to dismiss, but people will still sometimes dismiss those. Next level would be something like in person, like someone that you meet in real life that tells you about this. And the fourth level would be, the ultimate level would be like someone that you value or trust, like your friend or someone that you look up to recommends this thing to you. Like if you're like whatever, you're doing a sale and like a homeless guy comes up and says, hey, yeah, you should buy this shit, that could potentially work against you, or at best it'll be neutral. Versus if it's someone that you actually trust or someone you think is an honest person, that's going to make a massive difference.
Yeah, and I think people that relate to you, I think this happens in our industry a lot, right? Like if you're an Asian programming nerd sitting at home, you don't want to hear like the Chad White guy saying how good he's doing with women, or even like from a coaching perspective. Like people often look for similarities in who that testimonial, that social proof is coming from too.
Yo, it's, by the way, it's the same thing, what he says for a business and when it comes to, you guys, who coach dating. If it is the guy who came for money trying to tell you, oh, my dad only left me $50 million and I started a business, you find less credibility with that. And the same thing when Chad Thundercock is like sitting there telling you, bro, just go up and be yourself with women. You're going to crush it. And it's exactly right. It's kind of the same situation where there's a level of credibility depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah, that's why it's hard with us guys, because we're all so good looking that no one just trusts our ability, So.
For some reason, that criticism never applies to me, but yeah.
See, it's funny It's funny with you, Marcus, but for the rest of it, it's not funny.
Bro, it's hilarious.
Actually, my looks drastically change based on the point someone's trying to prove. If it's like
Yeah,
some people will be like, yeah, of course it's easy for this blue-eyed blonde guy, and then other people will just say like, this fucking retard with this hair loss and his fucking broken nose. There's no way he's doing that. So my looks can change from like an 8 to like a 3, just based on like, and sometimes it's the same person that will fluctuate too. It's fascinating.
Yeah, whatever they need you to be.
Yeah, whatever they need me to be. All right, guys. So also for the chat, so if you have good questions, get them in. We will ring them. If it's a troll question or something stupid, then we're probably going to skip it, unless it's something really, really funny, in which case we might still read it. All right, so let's jump into the, I guess, the topic. I don't know. Let's start off with like cold approach. I think that's something that probably is the most universal amongst all of us, that we all have done it or do it. Yeah, what would you say are like the keys to being successful at cold approach, just purely cold approach?
If I'll do it from like the most basic level. I have the worst acronym ever for this. It's called AWFULPA, and it's basically like open, make it fun, flirt with the girl, lead, and then persist. And if you do those 5 things, you more or less will have a great shot at girls. You know, you could get like extremely complex, like Alex's course, my course, I'm sure Michael's course, Marcus's course. We probably all go like super in depth on all this stuff, but like the main stuff is just going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. In the first letter of that open, most people don't open at all. Like, are you starting conversations with people, you know, whether it's in a social circle setting or a cold approach setting online? Like, you need to be doing a certain amount of volume to get anything. And then are you making it fun? So you're snapping her out of like autopilot thinking. You're not making it like an interview where you're asking back-to-back questions. Did you make it flirty? Are you making it man to woman? Are you, you know, touching the girl? Are you getting in close? Are you leading her around? One of the most, you know, best examples of masculinity is a man that can lead and do so in like a pro-social way where he takes care of the group, takes care of the girl, and then persists. You know, there's always going to be parts of the interaction that you get a little bit, you know, difficult, or it might get awkward, or her friends could come in or whatever. But if you just persist, you know, then it usually more than likely will work. Because persistence in and of itself is an attractive trait, and you blow past a lot of the issues that will come up. So that's my like super simple explanation of how it works.
I guess the one thing that, in addition to everything you said, that I feel like is not discussed enough is your ability to like freestyle. I've just been seeing this a lot recently. I'm not sure why. Guys who like they can only do lines. They can't like freestyle. Like if a girl gives them something that's not in their automated playbook, then they just like kind of freeze up. They don't know what to do. And at some point in any interaction, you're going to get a situation that you don't have a line for. And I think that like that's probably, I would say, is like my biggest asset when it comes to cold approach, is just the fact that I can freestyle and riff off and make jokes about pretty much any situation I encounter. I know there's coaches who advocate a more structured approach, but I've always been a big fan of just like freestyling it, like just
because you're not going to be able to build a connection with a girl based on just lines. You know, you might even get the girl, but then you won't keep her. So I think it's important to I think of it at like 80-20. It's like 20% should be like optimized things that you say or stories that you've told before, or, you know, things that you know how to pass a certain shit test. And then, you know, 80% should just be chemistry, talking to the girl, and like coming from the place of understanding the principles of game and not necessarily needing a certain line. Like once you understand the principles, you can just like, I'm sure any of us, you drop us anywhere in the world, any language, any girl, we could basically take a really good shot at it. And like, I know like you could drop me in like Uganda in the middle of like the forest or something, and I could bang like a local tribal girl or something, you know?
Put Austen in Gaza. He's going to bang like some Palestinian fleeing from bombs.
Yeah. Hey, don't worry, I have the best.
Shelter for a second.
Instead of after party,
I've got like shelter. I've got a shelter.
I got
party. We have shelter for you back here. You want water? I got clean water. Is that what you said? That's fucking terrible.
Yeah, I think that's freestyling is important. I think it's but I know guys. Okay, to just kind of build on what you said, Austen. Though I know guys that logically understand game. Like if you just have a discussion with them, they can perfectly explain to you what they need to do, how game works. But then when they talk to a girl, they suck. Like what do you think about those guys?
Dude, there's so many things that could come up. I mean, it depends on the person. Like, it could be they have very low self-esteem because of upbringing, relationship with their parents. It could be a bad experience they had with women before. It could be, just lack of, just their anxiety coming in. So they have lack of experience and their anxiety is too high. They haven't done any kind of desensitization. It could be a bunch of things, but I think like in general, like what you're talking about, like people can't get into the groove and just kind of $1 million mouthpiece it. That's a skill set that you literally need to work on. And it's not just the gas, like being able to talk forever. It's taking your foot off the brake and not judging yourself and being able to like let loose. I actually just came from a freestyle dance class. And man, this is like that to the highest extreme because it's like you're just moving your body in like weird kind of novel ways. And it's so easy to be like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, and get in your head. So I think certain things to lighten that up, like loosen it up, like just fucking around comedy, goofing around with your friends, improv, dance, things that get you out of your head into your body, some sort of meditation, and then just going up to interactions and just allowing yourself to express yourself. I mean, yeah, like people can logically understand game, but if you can't like allow your personality to come out and be expressed, and you're not going to be able to form a real connection with a woman who's going to like you for you, as opposed to like other more shallow qualities that she could get from another guy. So I think it's super important to focus on this. I'll give you 2 exercises. One is just the 5-minute $1 million mouthpiece exercise. Just start with any word and then free associative rant for 5 minutes straight. And another one I really, really love is you get this thing called Rap Script Generator online, and it'll just give you new words to go on. And you just do that for 10, 15 minutes, get a new word, improvise off of that word, go to the next one. And like a lot of game is just being able to talk and like occupy someone's, they say this one thing and you talk about it in like a fun, vibing, emotionally relevant way. I've been ranting too much. I'm going to give the floor to someone else.
Have you ever seen anyone on coke try to pick up girls?
On coke?
More than 500 times.
Yeah.
This weekend.
Yeah.
At EDC.
Yeah. Well, this is ages ago, but I've noticed that when I have done coke on several occasions in the past, and I'll try to pick up girls, is I can hold the convo, I can carry that convo, but I cannot pause and I cannot build sexual tension for shit. It's just me ranting, and at first the girl's laughing because I have some funny jokes, but eventually 10 minutes in, she's like, okay, well, anyway, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said about also being able to stop and just like slow down.
Yeah. And that's sequential. So you should first, I don't know if you guys are familiar with my model, but it's like basically desensitization, vibe, sexualize, and then we have strategy, and then there's naturalization. And actually, the 6th phase of the game is what like Michael does, basically like the next level game, like making it so you can hang out with your friends, hang out with a bunch of girls in one place and make it really efficient. And I think first you have to learn how to desensitize and be chill. Then you have to learn how to vibe and make it fun. And then you have to, like what you said, make it more man to woman, bring some sexual tension in there.
Yeah, I think for a lot of guys, that first step is, as you kind of mentioned, is just taking the action. Like, I think it's important to have some habits down to create a good lifestyle. It's important to have some information to go off, but you just need to go out there and do something. And it doesn't even have to be with women. Like, fuck it. A lot of these guys, if you just go out and practice some of these principles with people around you that you meet, if you just go to the fucking grocery store and the fucking person there is scanning your groceries, when she asks how your day is, don't just fucking introvert that shit and be like, yeah, good, don't make eye contact. Like, there's no way you can go from that person to then the person that is like super charismatic and pulling goals. So I think for guys out there starting like at the very beginning of cold approach, realize cold approach, technically the skills aren't just with women. We kind of spoke about this before, where marketing and sales kind of overlap. Is just with everyone around you, become a new person, okay? Develop better habits, speak louder, or more eye contact, be more charismatic. Do these games that Austen was talking about, right? Like, start talking a little bit more in your social groups. And then you can take that, once you develop those skills, start applying it to women. And then there's a whole new set of mindsets that might come up that might be limiting for you that you need to work through. But yeah, just start by going out and fucking doing something, right?
Yeah, I do notice, like, when I think back to myself in high school and even in college, is that unless I was drunk, that I would be the one mostly like sitting back and other people would do the talking, versus now I think back to my friend groups is like I'm doing a lot of the talking, maybe not all of it, but So even that part can change, just because I was, like in high school, I was worried about saying the wrong thing. Like, oh, people are going to judge me, so I better just not say anything, even if I had a thought about something, versus now I just don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly. Go for it.
So I think with cold approach, we talk a lot about what we do, but I think what's also important is what we don't do. I think the four of us forget about how debilitating approach anxiety is for so many men. And so my buddy Orion Teraband, Psychex, he says it the best. He says, when you think about rejection, you think it's three pieces. It's personal, it's painful, and it's permanent. And the reality is, how can it be personal? She doesn't even know you. It's not personal, right? It's not permanent. She won't message. She won't remember you the next day. And it's painful. But after 100 occurrences, it's just data points. It should just be data points in your mind. Bulzarian, I love his quote, man, and Marcus has heard it. It just pretend she has chlamydia. It's so true, bro. Like, imagine if a girl had chlamydia, would you like hug her and do all this like overtly sexual things in the beginning? No, you wouldn't. So for me, it's the desensitization, like what Austen says. I like to be desensitized to it. The way you get desensitized to rejection is just by doing it over and over again, and then you get into a flow. It really is the boring answer. Like, getting over approaching anxiety is really just the boring answer. And you do that for a while, and then you go out, and then you kind of figure out, what your voice is. To me, the hardest thing, and yet the most important thing, is charisma and humor. And also a speaking voice, to where you give yourself permission to be louder than whatever environment you're in. You guys know I really love nightclubs, and a lot of people hate nightclubs. I love them. The louder, the better. Because for me, those barriers, like the ropes, the security guards, the flashing lights, the smoke, the bottles, all that kind of stuff, those barriers, they make it better for me when I'm in the VIP, because it makes it harder for other guys to get up there. So I like nightclubs. I like those barriers, but I have to give myself permission to be louder than whatever music is playing. And part of doing that, a lot of guys don't want to do that. And where does that come from? I think it's from being desensitized, like you said before, and also giving yourself permission, learning to give yourself permission, understanding that any rejection you get is just feedback. Like, if a girl rejects you, that doesn't mean anything. But if like 5 or 10 girls keep telling you your breath stinks, that's data that you should take in and then also reevaluate. The other thing is, Alex, I think the OODA loop, a lot of guys don't have the ability to take feedback. Every guy I've ever met, and every guy I've ever met thinks he can shoot 3-pointers. They all think they can fight, and they all think they're good in bed. Every single fucking one of them, and they don't take any feedback. And so this is one of these situations where when you give them feedback on something that's very personal, like talking to women, and they don't want to hear it, it's sometimes you have to just the guy has to be willing to say, hey man, maybe I'm doing something wrong. So I think that's probably the most important thing. I think if you just approached a bunch and got over your approach anxiety, eventually it's just, you're going to get so much feedback, you're going to improve from that. But it is the boring answer. You just do more. Just like weightlifting, you just do more. Just like your diet, you just do the same thing, the right thing every day. And then eventually those things come to fruition.
One interesting thing to just observe is, have you guys ever seen like hot girls deal with rejection for the first time in their lives? I've been having some of this happen because I've been collabing with various female content creators for street interviews. And I remember this was one, you guys can probably figure out who it is, but I'm not going to give away her name. This hot blonde chick, or relatively hot with big boobs. And she's been on the speed dating show before. And we did street interviews, and she got rejected. Like, she came in there all bubbly. She got rejected twice or 3 times, and she started I could just see her state just crashing. After like 10 or 11, because each rejection, she became more and more meek. And then by like the 11th, 12th rejection, she just quit on the spot. She had a meltdown. Then she tried to blame it on me. I can't believe you made me do this. This is horrible. And she just like ran away, essentially.
Yeah.
Have
you seen that video where a girl, she tries to manage a Hinge account for her guy friend who's a 6, and she's like, after doing this for 2 days, I already hate women. She goes like, I'm like swiping right on the 2s, and they're like rejecting me. And she's like, what is it, dude? I got 130,000 views on this video. I just reacted to it just randomly, and it just really hit a chord with a lot of guys. You're right, they don't deal with rejection. Here's another thing, Alex. This is just anecdotal. I'm not saying I have any proof for this. I do think this is another thing that happens when you and a girl break up for whatever reason. She breaks up with you, you break up with her. I think she needs you to take some kind of L. Like, she needs you to either date someone not as hot as her, or not make more money than her next boyfriend, or some kind of L. And when you don't take any L, like you just fucking go off and you completely do better, that's a form of rejection I think a lot of women can't handle. Because I forgot who said this to me. They were like, anytime when a woman rejects you or chooses, someone else other than you, she's shorting your stock. So just imagine if you shorted stock like GameStop and then the stock goes up to the moon, you would lose a ton of money. I think women really, when they choose one guy over another, the guy that they passed over, when he does really well, that's a form of rejection that I really see women not being able to handle. That's when I have some clients, they'll fix their social media and they'll have pictures of them out with a bunch of hot girls or whatever. And they'll get messages from their ex-girlfriends who cheated on them being like, you've changed. I don't like this stuff that you're posting. So I do feel like that's another form of rejection women can't handle, is like when they chose the wrong guy or they dump the wrong guy and that guy's supposed to take the L and he doesn't. And I think for me, that's a great motivation to stay in the gym every day and just keep working on yourself.
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate revenge if your girl ever fucking cheats on you or some shit. It's just finding someone better. But yeah, I think like women, listen, there's like a higher consequence for rejection for them. So I can understand why they don't deal with it as well, and they probably haven't faced it as much. I mean, as a guy, you kind of get rejected. Like I say this with students, like if a student goes up and gets brutally fucking rejected, and I mean, it can be brutal, you still look around and other guys are like, fuck me, that was great. I can't believe you went over there and did that. No. Whereas if a girl goes over and gets rejected by a guy, you look around at the other girls, they're talking shit. Okay. They're not sitting there being like, great, that's awesome. Well, they're like, I can't believe she did that, blah, blah. So I can understand why, like, yeah, a girl goes out for the first time, gets rejected. She probably is fearful of all that. But yeah, I agree with you. If your girl has fucked you over, okay, the ultimate revenge is moving the fuck on and finding someone better.
They're so angry when they're wrong. Like later on, when they figured out that they thought that they chose the beta male and they actually, or they dumped the beta male and actually they let the alpha male go. I've seen so many times where like there's one girl I broke up with, and then she started dating this guy that she thought was super rich. Super. It turns out he was lying about how much money he had. And then I start a podcast and it blows up, and she's just so fucking angry because I was supposed to take the L and I didn't. I was supposed to ask to get her back. I was supposed to beg for her on the phone. She had a paradigm in her mind that she was the scarce resource, being the attractive. And to me, she's not a scarce resource. I live in Las Vegas. So it's like, it's very difficult. I always feel like women need you to take some kind of L, but if you don't, I think it really, really pisses them off.
I think maybe a certain type of woman. I personally never really experienced this with any of my exes. Like I think the ones that I stay in like semi-contact with, like they usually are happy. Like when I say like, oh yeah, my channel just hit over 200K. Like, oh wow, I'm so proud of you. Yeah. But I guess it depends on the girl. With some girls, I can see that for sure.
Alex, did you bring this question up?
Yeah. I want to just quickly run through some questions so we don't get back up. Question to all of you: how important do you guys think is wearing good fragrance to make women feel more attracted? Last week, I used some Versace Eros while clubbing, got lots of compliments.
So I actually did an entire deep dive on this. Just right off the bat, like, wearing a good cologne is like maybe 47th on the list of like things that, are essential for getting results with women. I mean, but it's still nice to smell good. But the main thing, kind of like what Michael was talking about, is like it's more important to just not smell bad. Like smelling bad is a kill switch for attraction. So, and most of smelling bad is you're eating things that are destroying your gut. So you're eating like beans and just legumes and grains and bad spices that really irritate your gut, give you leaky gut and like bad issues, and it can actually just come out of your pores. And yeah,
how about when you have a roommate and you're bringing girls home and then he decides, hey, I'm gonna cook fucking beans and fucking raw eggs and shit. It comes in, your apartment smells like shit, and like when you're in college, I'm like, I'm bringing women home, dude. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. No, I agree totally.
Yeah. So once you get that handled, you smell like decently on baseline. Then you can add in some other stuff. But the thing is, with fragrances, most fragrances are going to impact your hormones, actually. So they have things called phthalates and parabens in them. And those basically preserve the fragrance, and they preserve it from like deteriorating. And those are in almost every single fragrance. The problem is, like, you still want to smell good. Like I take this this approach in everything I do. I want it to be healthy, but I also want it to be effective. And so like I tested a bunch of different colognes. I came across this one called Dime Number 1 cologne. And then I came across another one, Presence by Alatura, and I went out on the streets and I asked people to review them. And they actually, the more health conscious colognes were rated higher than the other ones. The essential oil ones didn't do very well, but basically you want a cologne that it's made by professional perfumers that isn't going to decrease your testosterone. And that's what 99.9% of all colognes are going to do. Because one of the trademarks of a good cologne is, does it last long? And to last long, you need to put phthalates in it. And phthalates are basically like plastic. So you're like spraying like on these hormone disrupting chemicals on your skin, getting absorbed in your skin, decreasing your testosterone. So
what was the one you recommended the most?
Dime #1 cologne.
Dime #1 cologne.
Yeah, I did a really, for you guys on the panel too, check it out. It's pretty interesting. I did like a very autistic deep dive into it.
Yeah, I think what matters as well, like smell is very much linked with memory. And so what I've found a lot of times too is, if you just smell nice, it's good. You smell nice.
I'm just going to quickly comment on that. We were chemical sensors before we were light sensors. So your ability to take in smell is actually, it can impact you more intensely and viscerally than
you're talking
even
about
sight.
in natural select. Yeah, you're talking about in evolution. We were chemical dependers. Yeah, I got what you're saying. Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, and so you've probably noticed this at times where you might smell a scent and then boom, like a memory comes up super vivid. You're like, holy fuck. Or you might have even had this like the other way around when you like smell a girl's perfume. You're like, that I have such a good memory associated to that. And so I've had this before with either students or myself where girls are just like, you smell amazing. Oh my God, what is that? Oh, and they just become so incredibly attracted just from like the fucking smell itself. So I think like I agree. Most of the time, you're just probably going to be like, hey, make sure you don't smell like dog shit. And then if you smell nice, it's going to be a benefit. Maybe you tank some testosterone in the meantime, but up to you. And then you might have some women some of the time where it's like, damn, that really hits hard. And for those reasons, I think it's important to try to find a scent that kind of suits you. And it will cash out every now and again.
That's interesting. I'm gonna get the one that you recommended, Austen, because this is also the issue I've had, is that like I'm super health conscious, so I was always weary of putting like colognes on. They're just gonna, like, I don't know, just like hurt my health overall. But if you say that one's healthy, I'll check it out.
Yeah, and you'd think that the essential oils would actually be healthier, but they're not, because people can be sensitive to those. They're literally putting different plants and stuff on yourself, and it just depends on your genetics on what you're going to react poorly to. So, and you can check out, there's a thing called EWG, Environmental Working Group, and they'll do deep dives into stuff. And there's an app called Yuka app, YUKA, and you can literally just scan the barcode of whatever you use, and it'll tell you on a scale, like how detrimental is this for your hormones, how detrimental is it for this, and it's really cool.
All right. So the next question is, what do you guys think of a cold approaching in the malls? Are there any malls left anymore? No, I'm just kidding. I don't see it any differently than the cold approaching during the daytime or whatever. For me, I don't know. I don't see it as a pro or negative. I just see it as a location. But what do you guys think?
I have so many fond memories of doing this for decades. The thing about it is, I think it's still fun. It's just less efficient. I think it's gotten a little bit less efficient just because just depending on where you are, especially in the United States, when you have 71% of the people overweight and 42% obesity, like a lot of really hot girls are just going to use Amazon. We don't think about it, but a lot of the things you needed at the mall, you can just have sent to your place now. Guys, I broke a PS5 controller yesterday, and I ordered a new controller at 5 p.m. on a Sunday, and 8 p.m. I had a new controller show up, and on a Sunday. Like the supply chain is so fast now with some of this shit. I just can't even imagine going to the mall for half the stuff anymore. So that would be the only thing I would say. Not a bad idea, but maybe just a little less efficient than it probably was. Man, in the 90s going to the mall, in the 80s going to the mall. The 80s, the mall was basically an Instagram post. Everyone was there, bro. North Park Mall on a Sunday back in Dallas, Texas. Everyone was there, but it's not really like that anymore.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
I would just say in general, people.
You go. Yeah, I mean, if the mall's dead, then don't fucking go, right? Like if there's two overweight fucking old ladies there or some shit, don't go. But if there's like a bunch of people at the mall, and I know like in a lot of big cities there's going to be, then go for it. The one thing I will say though is the biggest difference between like a mall and just approaching on the street is the mall has security. Okay, so don't be those RSD guys doing like 1,000 approaches and then doing push-ups and like, I don't know, doing some other weird creepy shit, because mall security probably will come up to you, and you don't want to be like kicked out of the mall, banned from the mall, shit like that. It's just like a really uncalibrated look to. So yeah, if you're going to be like approaching in the mall, then yeah, just be socially calibrated about it. Okay. If the girl is like, I'm busy and not interested, then don't like follow her around. If you're approaching one girl, then take a bit of a break, chill out for a bit before you approach the next. So that would be the only difference in my mind. And obviously, as Michael said, if the mall's dead, then find somewhere that's busy.
Just, I mean, maybe not in Australia, but just here, like the malls are just deader and deader. I'm seeing these like long-term leases on some of these large spots. You know, every mall will have like 4 major department stores in it. That's starting to go away. And then whenever I go to the mall to try to buy stuff, like if you go to the Rolex store, if you go to Zara or whatever, they just don't have anything in anyone's size anymore. The mall is just not what it used to be. Any brick and mortar. So it's not a function of like daytime cold approach. It's a function of just the economy is changing. It's just not as efficient as it used to be.
I kind of have a different perspective. I think it's found its equilibrium between online and in person because a lot of people do want to see if it fits. Like they don't want to deal with the hassle of ordering it and not knowing how it looks on them. So there's just going to be some people who go for that. The other criticism I've heard is like, oh, no hot girls are going to go to the mall. I have a video of my student approaching she was like the Miss Universe winner one year, and she was just at the mall. So I kind of made like a fun thing because what's his name? Andrew Tate had that video where he's like, there's no fucking 10s walking around the mall. And I'm like, this is literally like the hottest girl on planet Earth, according to this, thing. So yeah, so there are hot girls. I guess it depends on your area and like make use of what you have, around you. If it's the only thing that you have that you can, it's right next to your place and it's the only thing you can do, then sure. But yeah, I definitely think there's better places to go, especially because the mall is kind of like every girl's on a super serious mission to like go shopping, and it's very commercial and it just feels weird. Versus like if you're talking to a girl like that's just walking her dog in a more relaxed environment, the vibe is better. If she's just chilling at the beach or something, like I don't know, the vibe's just more relaxed and better in my opinion.
Oh. All right, next question. How do you manage touch without being creepy like many claim it is online? It depends on the context for the touch. Yeah, if you go up and just like grab a girl without saying anything, it's probably going to be creepy. But if you're having a conversation, I'm actually releasing a video on this in 2 days. But essentially, there's levels of like physical escalation. So the first level will be like you're talking to a girl, she's maybe giggling a little bit. You just touch her like on her elbow briefly, right? And she's receptive to that, then you might touch her knee, right? If she's receptive to that, then you just go further and further. So yeah. All right, Austin, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just doing what you were talking about. But yeah, do it. See a physical escalation ladder, like Alex is gonna make a video on, and then just go incrementally. And the thing is, everything's going to be weird if you've never touched a person before. It's just you kind of have to, what is it called? Crack a few eggs to make an omelet. So like, it's going to be a little bit weird at first, and you just have to get proficiency in just touching other people and realize that it's normal. Like it's extremely normal to touch other people when you talk to them, when you want to emphasize certain points. And yeah, you'll end up finding that like, you don't have to force any of this. It should kind of feel somewhat right when you're doing it. It shouldn't feel like you're making an extreme error. It should feel like somewhat new if you're kind of getting used to it, but it shouldn't feel wrong. It should feel kind of right, if that makes sense. Yeah.
The only thing, I think the variable here between a creepy touch and a non-creepy touch is usually just how attracted the girl is. If the girl is super attracted to you, like, dude, you could do some fucking weird kinky shit and she's probably like, wow, this guy's so unique and oh my god. And then, right, you could literally just touch a girl on the shoulder, but if she fucking is repulsed by you, she's gonna be like, oh my god, that guy was so creepy. Did you see the way he tried touching me and da-da-da? So what I usually like tell my students is like, don't worry about touch, okay? Just don't, like, sit back and just build attraction, sexualize the conversation. If the girl is sexually attracted to you, that's when you can start thinking about touch, and then you don't even have to overthink it too much then. Now, some guys, yes,
she'll touch you first.
Yeah, exactly. She'll touch you first. I think there is a good escalation ladder to have, especially like in the bedroom. But yeah, if you're like out in person and you're like dating, for example, I would just have all my mental energy focused on building like a level of chemistry there, a level of attraction there, sexualizing the conversation. And once that happens, yeah, nothing is really going to be considered creepy.
One litmus test that you can. Oh, sorry, Michael. One litmus test that you can use is when you're talking to a girl in real life. Like after you started the conversation, is just getting a little closer to her and seeing how she responds to that. So if you get a little closer to a girl and she steps back, then she's probably not going to respond positively to touch. If you step a little closer and then maybe she steps a little closer, or at the very least she doesn't look like she's trying to get out of there, then that's a positive sign. Then you could get maybe a little bit closer, not like creepy close, but just a bit closer, and then that could be the next segue. Could be like a light touch on the elbow.
So instead of the term IOI, I like the term IOC. So indicators of compliance. So what you're talking about, getting closer to her, see if she backs away. And for me, I like to turn my torso or my hips away from her and see if she orients herself in front of me. And I'll do 100 little pieces of compliance over the course of the night. Does she follow me over here? Let's go meet these people. Let's go do this. I'm always ahead of her as far as when we leave and when we're going to go to the next thing. If I get several pieces of compliance, and I usually want to do so, if I'm going to escalate physically, it's going to be probably when her friends don't see her, or she's alone, and then it's going to be something really subtle, and then just see if she goes a little further. Again, Marcus and I, we do stuff with Bilzerian, and he asked the question, what's worse, if you try to kiss a girl and she rejects you, or if you put your hand on her, you put her hand on her dick and she pulls away. And all the girls I asked were like, yeah, it's way worse if a girl rejects you from kissing her. So like Dan's like putting the hand on the dick. I'm not saying you guys should do this, but it's just really interesting. When I'm alone with a girl, I found that if I put her hand on my leg, if we're alone, we're driving in a car, we're going back to my place or whatever, then usually she'll do some of the escalation too. But I'm going to look for 100, not literally 100, but maybe like 100 pieces of compliance over the course of the night. And then from there, it's just like, that's generally when I'm going to escalate. But that's going to happen pretty quickly. It's generally first location, bathroom, leave with me. Second location, I'm usually going to see the second location, and on the way to the second location, go back to my place. And then that usually is where the date ends up, right there.
All right, let's go through one more question, and then we'll get back to the main discussion. Speak on the most important thing of seduction. What matters more from the moment that you meet someone to the bedroom? I feel like it's really hard to pick the most important thing because there's a few things that are crucial. And I don't know. I'll let you guys take a stab at this one. I'm kind of lost on
the most important thing. I mean, it depends what context. If you want to speak very broad, the two most important things are going to be attraction for yourself and then dealing with objections that you have. So a lot of guys think it's all attraction. And this is, I like what Michael talks about when he says compliance, because you can have like a super Chad guy that is like super rich, blah, blah, but if the girl is like married and she never wants to cheat, then you can have all the attraction you want, but you got an objection. You could have a girl really into you, but if she's got a flight at like 5 a.m. and she's leaving the club right now, like it's just not going to happen. She's not going to skip a flight. Well, maybe, but she's not going to skip a flight. So the biggest thing is building attraction. Then the next stage of that is going to be learning how to overcome those objections and move it forward. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty vague question. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing. I mean, we could go off in a million different ways. There's one of my favorite books is Cindy Meston and David Buss wrote a book called Why Women Have Sex, which has 238 reasons why women choose to have sex with men. And which means there's infinite reasons. So the variance when it comes to women is just so incredibly great. I think as far as seduction, for meeting someone to the bedroom, I think being charismatic is a really important thing. But to me, I like to have everything planned out. And when I say planned out, I mean, like we're at this location, we're going to go here and then here and then here and then here. So it gives me an opportunity to lead. And that also, it kind of solves logistics for me so that I can get her to my bedroom at that place. And then in that case, so I think that's probably the most important thing. For me, I think leadership is the most underrated part of game. Being able to lead like a big group of girls. And then for me, for my birthday, I had like 35 girls and no guys show up for my birthday. And when we did it, when I would lead the girls we had a hotel room suite, me leading the girls created so much social proof that any girl I wanted would just grab onto me, hold my arm or whatever. I think leadership is probably one of the most underrated things that you can learn.
I would say sexual tension would be my pick. Like that's probably the most important part is just building tension, which ideally should become sexual tension. But that's a whole thing. What's the most important part of building sexual tension? But
I don't think you would have sexual tension if she's not attracted to you. So I think attraction's the number one.
Well, I mean, I don't define attracted as like a binary. Yeah, if she's like not attracted to you, period, then you're not going to have sexual tension. But what if she's like somewhat attracted to you, but she's not sold on you yet? At that point, you can turn up the sexual tension, which can then make her more attracted to you.
Yeah, great. It's all semantics, right? It just depends how you define attraction or sexual tension, sexualization. But yeah, I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so many questions about the election. Should we touch on this? Because everyone's wondering what our take is on it, because we are the political masters of this. So
first off, a little shameless plug. Tomorrow night is going to be Access Vegas. We have some girls going on. It's going to be during the election. So we're going to be doing an episode during the entire election. And it's incredible. It took me forever. I found one liberal woman to finally come on the show. Couldn't find a single one. Or maybe they're just embarrassed to come on, or they don't want to. Like, I had several women say, I support Kamala, but I'm afraid to come on your show. I finally found one girl. She's a comedian, and she's going to come on, and then I may have a second one. So it was very difficult. So I'm excited.
I have the opposite issue. I can't get conservatives to debate me.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I take every political debate I can. The last one was with Alex Stein, and he basically was saying he wants to quit half the time. So yeah, I'm having a hard time finding conservatives that are down for debate.
You know what it is? It's because we're in echo chambers, dude. It's where like the fucking social media algorithm, it just sticks us in echo chamber. Everyone on my Instagram is white women with big fake tits who shoot guns and all love Donald Trump. And like, it's just constant. I can't find a single blonde white woman with big fake tits who shoots guns who is not a supporter of Donald Trump. I can't find one. I'm not saying they don't exist. I just haven't seen them. And I think the algorithm is specifically doing that to me.
My algorithm
is the girl shooting guns like top tier like quality that you look for in a woman too?
No, just
like she needs to be a proficient marksman.
Oh yeah, no, just really big boobs. I don't really care.
But the big boobs come packaged with guns, which is kind of cool.
I'm just saying.
Unless the boobs are so big and get in the way of her marksmanship, then that's a dicey situation.
No, you handicap for the boobs. You handicap.
Dude, it might get in the way of my marksmanship. I'll just be like, okay. Yeah. All right. So let's first talk about who we predict will win.
This is good.
My prediction is that Trump's going to win, partially because of the money betting markets are putting their money on him in like a quite disproportionate way. I also think that
about 24 hours ago, though, after the Iowa poll.
Oh, I don't know what that, but yeah, and then I do feel like there's an undercurrent of people thinking that he is just a better candidate, and also two of the presidential Democratic nominees from last time, or actually in this time as well, are joining Trump, plus Elon Musk, plus Vivek, plus like it seems like this pack of like, you know, very reasonable people that are supporting him, and yeah, so that's my prediction. And I'm not going to comment on mine until we go through this, but I'm curious what you guys predict, what you think.
Yeah, I disagree. I think it's about 70-80% chance Kamala's going to win, maybe even higher, for a variety of reasons. Number one is abortion is on the ballot in most states, and that's going to bring out a bunch of women. In Florida, for example, abortion was on the ballot, legalizing marijuana was on the ballot. That's going to bring out a certain demographic of voter that might not usually vote that is going to pick Kamala. That would be the first thing. The second thing, the Iowa poll was, I think, quite a stir in the political world. Basically shows that Kamala is winning Iowa by 3 points. And just to give context, Democrats almost never win Iowa. Donald Trump should be leading 7 or 8 points in Iowa. So the idea is that if Kamala is leading in Iowa, then she's going to be really leading in a bunch of swing states. I think that Pennsylvania can go either way, but I think Kamala's going to get I think she's going to get Arizona. I think she's definitely going to get Nevada. I don't think she's going to get North Carolina, although it might be close, but she's going to get Michigan, and I think she's going to get the Rust Belt states. So, yeah, I think I would put it at 70-80%. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll find out 48 hours.
Yeah, I don't see how it could possibly be 70 or 80%. I mean, I could see Harris winning, but that's 70 or 80%. That's like 1.5 standard deviations. That's yeah, I don't see any way that's possible.
No, I don't mean she's going to win 70% of the vote. I will never happen. I mean, like, I personally predict there's a 70% chance that she will win by a small margin.
Well, so one of the issues is, and I think a lot of people are missing this, is that when Roe versus Wade was repealed, Donald Trump was not in office and came out and said that he was not going to try to pass a ban on abortions in all 50 states. He's been very, very clear about this. So I don't know.
All the Trumpian candidates lost in 2022. You got to keep that in mind. Carrie Lake, all of them, they just got annihilated.
Well, we've also seen several times where like what happens to the Republican Party doesn't stick to Donald Trump. Again, like I don't have a dog in this fight, but like I just don't think that there's, for everything I'm seeing, because I am looking at all the polymath, all the markets here, and Donald Trump is either leading somewhere between 58 and 55% in all the betting markets. And from the polls that I've seen, I haven't seen a single one where Kamala Harris has a decisive lead. So I don't know how she has a 70 or 80% chance of winning. Maybe she does win. I don't know, but I think it's going to be hard. Here's the other thing, Alex. This is my prediction. You can make a clip of this if I'm wrong, and you guys can all laugh at me if I'm wrong. I think a record number as a percentage of Black and Hispanic men are going to vote for Donald Trump as opposed to any other Republican candidate since the 1970s. And the reason why, this is from two people. This is Scott Galloway, who's a liberal, and also a moderate, Richard Reeves, have both stated that the Democrat Party has totally forgotten about men. When you close your eyes and you think about boss bitch energy, when you think about the concept of I don't need no man, the first two people that come to mind on planet Earth are Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B. And when you go look at the Kamala Harris rallies, those are the first two women they got front loading. You saw Cardi B was on stage. She had no idea what to do because she had to read from a teleprompter. I think as a man, if I want a family, if I'm Black, white, Hispanic, or whatever, I know which party I would vote for. I think men have been totally ignored in this presidential election by the Democrat Party. Again, not my words. This is Professor Scott Galloway's one.
What's up? With what policies though? Like, I get it. Like, as a man, okay, Donald Trump, that guy seems like a fucking badass, okay? And yeah, the other candidate's a fucking woman. But as in, like, what policies do they not support men with is what I'm curious about.
Wait, let me just quickly reply to what Michael said before I forget. So when you say historic numbers of Black men will vote for Trump, you mean like
as 20%? A percentage?
Yeah, like
it won't be 50. It won't be 50%, but like
it won't even be 25%. We're talking going from 10 to 20%. But Black men are not
if it is 25%, but if it is 25%, my prediction is not whether or not Trump or Kamala is going to win. My prediction is the percentage of minority men in this country who have been ignored by the Democrat Party are going to a disproportionately high number of them are going to vote Republican as compared to other elections. And then the other one is like when you look at like what Myron, if you look at the manosphere in general, the manosphere is not this country is 13-14% Black. The manosphere is not 13-14% Black. The manosphere is 30-40% Black. And there is an extreme political bent when it comes to the manosphere, and we're talking about millions and millions of people. So like I do think we're going to see an excessively large number. I think this is another reason why some of these guys end up on DHS watch lists, is because I don't think big tech likes the fact that a lot of minority men are going to vote Republican because of some of the messaging that they're receiving. Again, not making a prediction on who's going to win the election. I do think in comparison to other Republican candidates, we're going to see more minority men vote for this one. Also, obviously it's totally anecdotal. I was in a all Black Christian fraternity in college. Most of my friends back in Texas are African-American males, and I have yet to meet a single one of them, not one that is supporting Kamala Harris. And I don't remember ever in my life a single one of them ever openly admitting to supporting a Republican candidate. And I can't find a single one that's supporting a Democrat. And I'm talking about some of these guys are lawyers and some of these guys are crack dealers in South Dallas, and every single one of them thinks that Trump is a G. And so
I don't know any Black guys that are voting for Trump either. But that has to do with
we just spoke about echo chambers, right?
Wait, let me say this. The largest voter block is not Black men. It's not even men. It's
not my point. Not my point.
So Marcus and Alex.
Trump can.
Well, Marcus, you should predict who you think is going to win.
If Kamala gets more white women. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have no idea. Okay, it's close. I think, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know more than fucking the polling or the guys on the betting agencies. Yeah, I mean, I've got no insights here, so it's going to be fucking close. I don't know who's going to win. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Should we talk about some of the policies? I think like the main.
No, I don't want to go too off track. I love these discussions, but I feel like the whole point here is talk about game. Like we want to get into political policy. We're just never going to come back.
All right, just one minute. Just 1 minute.
Like, dude, I'm totally down to do a political debate at any point.
We'll do a political stream.
You want to bring up one thing, but we're just going to get so off track.
Well, I just think it's. I'll just say my closing statement. I think people are the border issue has become like the biggest issue of this election.
I think inflation is the biggest issue. I think the border
it's economy. It's not border.
Yeah.
Exactly. We need a man in there to spend a whole bunch of money to increase the inflation. So
I heard the inflation was coming
We
down.
already had a man
Inflation
in
is
there.
down to 2.1%.
Yeah. Anyway, well, obviously the economy was by many metrics it was better under Trump, so people are going to say that is a plus for him. And then the immigration thing, I think, is like the illegal immigration thing is like crazy. It's like I think 12 million people or something like that came in under Biden, which is the total time in Ellis Island. That's how many people came through Ellis Island. It's like a ridiculous number of people in like a short period of time. And people want to be able to afford a house. People want to be able to afford a house and like live a life, And I think there's a lot of animosity built up for that. I think the biggest point working against Trump is the January 6th thing, where like that is like, bro, that was like one of the most anti-American things ever. It's like there's always been a peaceful transfer of power, and it's a gray area, but I don't think it's a positive gray area. It's definitely.
I don't think it's a gray area at all.
It's a gray area at all.
I mean, it would be more transparent if he said, "Get guns. We're taking the Capitol now. Like, kill everyone." That would be more.
The controversy with that is not so much the riot; it's the fake electorate scheme. Like, there's no defending the fake electorate scheme.
True.
The fake electorate.
Yeah. So I think that's the biggest thing working against him. It's like what is left to ensure that he won't do that again? Past behavior, is the best predictor of future performance.
Well, if he gets elected, then he won't have to do it again because we only have 2 terms in this country. But yeah, no, I can see a lot of.
I don't think he's going to respect the 2-term limit.
I mean, this is like getting cheated on by a girl and being like, "Oh, but maybe she'll be okay next time." Like maybe
it'll be different.
I mean, you could make the same argument that the inflation rate going up to 9% happened in part because Biden and other Democrats decided to keep the country closed for 15 months. They decided to spend a lot of money. MIT recently came out with a survey where the Biden administration was saying it was supply chain disruption was the reason why so much inflation happened in 2022 and 2023.
Yeah, I mean, that was COVID, right?
Yeah, MIT countered that and said no, it was government spending, and also we had a massive rise in petroleum prices, in part because a cutting of the Keystone Pipeline and because the Biden administration did not allow for any new oil and gas leases. And
but
so
that's
because
not
of
true
that,
at all. They have allowed many new oil leases. They increased offshore drill. We're drilling more.
Yeah, isn't it?
No. That's not what I said. That's not what I said. That's not what I said. Production did increase, but there were no new leases and new oil contracts that they were not allowed. And also they cut the Keystone Pipeline. What that did though was cause insecurity in the infrastructure for petroleum production, which caused a spike in the price of oil, even though there was production. But what happened additionally to that was the fact that there was we had stimulus checks and we had the country shut down for 15 months. 2 months I could have seen. 3 months maybe. 6 months if I really grinned and bear it. But 15 months, the Biden administration has to own that. And when Kamala Harris
most of that happened under Trump.
Yeah, that was Trump, wasn't it? It wasn't
Trump.
No, the country was shut down. No, it was the reopening of the country. Like if you look in Florida and if you look in Sweden, where they didn't shut down anything, and I was in Florida. You were in Florida during the lockdowns. It was so much worse in California than it was in Florida as far as how much they were trying to shut down the country. Here in Nevada, we had our Mayor Goodman, and she was trying to open the state back up. Governor Lombardo was trying to keep it closed.
Wait, so the shutdown happened in February or March 2019. Trump was in office until for at least
2020. 2020. So no, 2020. March 17th, 2020. March 17th, 2020.
Isn't that states though?
Yeah, it was. No, yeah,
March 17, 2020.
Yeah, March 2020. But
you guys are getting kind of lost in the weeds.
Power for almost a year after that.
I think high level. It's just economy, immigration. One other big point for Trump: he's the only president in the past 32 years who didn't start a new war.
And God, that's not true either.
That's not true.
This is so not true. He increased bombing in Syria twice, and he said that we're there to get the oil. He increased drone strikes by 400%. He assassinated an Iranian general who's fighting ISIS, which led to the death of several U.S. service members, for which there was absolutely no repercussion. He tried to coup Venezuela. There's so many ways that he put on the boots on the ground.
When you say no new war, technically, apparently there's been no new official war organized by Congress for I don't know how many fucking years.
Since World War II.
Since World War II. Okay, so a long time. I think you can't say there's okay, since World War II we haven't had a war, and then say Donald Trump hasn't started a new war.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll ask you guys this, because this is another really strong point for what I've heard is like the whole censorship thing. It seems like the Democratic Party is very, very pro censorship, which is kind of interesting because the left used to be very pro free speech, and they are actually the ones that would defend free speech. And now it seems like the exact opposite.
Trump is the biggest pro-censorship president that we have ever had. He wanted to loosen up the libel law so he could sue news stations that he didn't like. He wanted to revoke the license of like ABC because he didn't like the way they did debate coverage.
So that's interesting. You're saying all this because I actually haven't heard
people over criticism he didn't like.
Yeah.
He sued Bill Maher over a joke.
I literally
he has a history of suing
Yeah,
everyone.
but he can as a private citizen he can sue Bill Maher. That's not a
but that doesn't make him pro free speech, right? If
yeah,
he doesn't
but what makes Kamala not pro free speech is the statements that she said is like, who is overseeing these social media platforms? People can just say whatever they want. She's been very, very vocal on the fact that there needs to be more oversight. But whose oversight? It's her oversight that she wants to see on these platforms. So I don't agree. What individual? Here's the thing. Alex Jones had the right to say whatever he wanted to say about Sandy Hook, but the people in Sandy Hook had every right to sue him. That's my point. It's like free speech works both ways. I don't have a problem with Donald Trump suing someone because he feels like someone said something bad about him. When he starts passing legislation,
well, no, I think,
if he wants to take away, licenses from studios, from news organizations because he didn't like what they say, that crosses a line. That's something you do. That's not something you can do privately. That's something you do as a elected official. Is to take away people's licenses because he didn't like their coverage or he didn't like their criticism.
Isn't this the guy that said like media is the enemy of the people or something?
Constantly,
right? But that correct. Yeah, he said that's fake news and it is the enemy of the people, and still did not do anything to get rid of it.
Isn't he the one lying about certain things and we know that he's lying? And that
perfect. That sounds like free speech to me. Marcus, if you believe he's lying, that sounds like free speech to me.
Well, actually, the idea that he didn't do anything, he signed under his administration. He signed a bill that gutted internet privacy.
You know that like there's certain free speech that isn't
I can pull up the exact name of the last issue.
That's not a free speech issue.
Say that again.
Alex, you're bringing up things that I haven't even heard. Like I tried to find out all the alternative, like the people on the left speaking about this because I was confused why anyone would vote for Harris, but then I listened to Sam Harris and Destiny talk about it, and they made okay points. Like the biggest point that Sam Harris made was the January 6th thing, which I think is a very good point. Like, and even Ben Shapiro, who was trying to defend him, previously said that it was like the worst act in America since like 9/11. So I heard some stuff like that, but I'm curious. They never like brought up these other arguments that you guys.
Democrats are really bad at arguing their positions. Republicans are much better at marketing and arguing their positions. But I think that Kamala's better than Trump in almost every single way, aside from attitude towards Russia. I think Trump would probably be better towards the war in Ukraine, but on every other issue, I think Kamala wins. Or
do you not feel that she's kind of retarded though?
I feel like she's above average intelligence.
I feel like they're honestly. I don't really.
She's not a good speaker. She's not Obama.
I want to hear Austen.
Yeah, I feel like
I like this.
But I
don't want the smoothest motherfucker to be president. I just want someone who's competent and is like has good.
She gives me. Do you know what she gives me? She gives me like mom energy. You know what I mean? Like I can picture her in a fucking car.
She gives me like government plant energy. That's what it gives me.
But this is I understand. Like people who vote based on energy, I just think are just silly because I vote based on policy, not like
yeah. Well, I mean,
this person is better than energy from that
policy perspective. How would someone who was in charge of the border that did the worst job in American history be in charge of it when that's like the second
she wasn't actually in charge of the border. She was in charge of Biden never called it the border zone. She was in charge of she was in charge of going to other countries and negotiating with them deals so they would send less.
I mean she was the vice president and during a time where it was the worst
with Biden, right? So
border policies in American history.
Okay, is that what I understand is during COVID, obviously there were really no numbers for Trump. Okay, then Biden comes in, and basically, as far as I'm aware, from what I've read, you can come to America and be like, "Yo, I'm seeking asylum." Like, hey, yeah, I'm going to fill out this form, or I think there's like an app for it that makes it really easy. Then like, okay, you need to come in, we need to process you, right? But as far as I'm aware, they had like a border bill that was brought to Yeah, by the
James
Republicans,
Lankford, a
right?
conservative Republican, that Trump told
And then
his-
Trump literally, I've
told
seen
him to
clips of
veto
him
it.
like, don't like, everyone's like, yeah, Trump told us not to vote for this because he wants to keep it as like an issue, right?
This bill was created by a very conservative Republican senator, and he did news interviews.
I don't know. You guys go super into the weeds of this stuff. I'm just looking at like,
well, it's not
Trump
into
was
basically
obviously better with
You gotta go to
you're saying
illegal
Biden's
immigration
really
than
bad, okay, when it comes to immigration. So my question is why? Okay, looking at American politics, I don't just look at what was good in this 4 years.
I love how you're Australian and you know more about our system. Dude, I feel like most Americans couldn't point out Australia on a map. They'd be like,
bro, American politics is one of my favorite TV shows. So essentially, I don't look at like who's in charge at that time, because if I look at Trump and I'm like, hey, bro, what the fuck happened here during these 3 years? And someone's like, there was COVID, there was a massive lockdown. And I'm like, I don't care. Trump was it. It's like, no, you're going to be like, people have actions, and those actions is what I want to depict if they're doing a good job or not, right? So when I see Biden on immigration, it's from what I read, it's like, okay, that border bill that they were trying to pass, they were trying to get more people to like process these, and then it was shut down by Republicans. And I'm kind of like, well, it's kind of not his fault at that point. Maybe there's things are missing, but yeah, I think it's more important to just, I think getting into the weeds is important as opposed to just having a big look and saying, in this 4 years, what was better? Because there's going to be economic downturns, upturns, COVID's going to happen.
I just have nothing to add to very like,
this guy
was a senator and then he had this relationship. He fucked this guy's wife and then he wrote this.
There's no fucking of the wives, but it's important to
understand. There may have been some fucking of the wives.
It is important to be able to look past like the talking points and like the
because to be able to understand that what happens at any event takes like 10 years. Like if you really want to get to the bottom of like the Trump assassination attempt or like the border bill thing, it's like you have to read like 7,000 pages.
You can learn about it.
I mean, dude, I've not spent much time reading this. I just found it interesting. But yeah, I mean, you can. But I agree with you. The big problem is like when it comes to Australian politics and shit, it's not as entertaining for me. So I don't know that much about it. When I don't vote here, right? For that reason, I don't know enough about what's going on. If I was American, I wouldn't vote either.
Also, another thing is using people's decisions to who they back as a proxy, so I don't have to do the research. So like, when a person that is like the smartest entrepreneur, the most successful entrepreneur in human history, which is Elon Musk, is backing Trump. When a person like the two most like respected Democrats joining Trump, and then you see like Dick Cheney.
Tulsi Gabbard is not the most respected politician. In 2020, she was still 11th.
But then, okay, weeds. Okay, but then you also have.
Let's and left him.
But you have Dick Cheney and his daughter supporting like Kamala Harris. It's like
let's
anyone that Dick Cheney supports, I'm like they should be like executed. Like right
here we go.
Yeah, but Trump is supported by
Kamala Harris,
who's like the biggest fucking neocon ever. So like that goes both ways. There's neocons that support both presidents. But yeah, go ahead.
So I hear this thing all the time. Yes, border czar was not the term that Biden gave to Harris. That was something that the Republicans gave her. Her specific responsibilities were addressing economic insecurity and inequality, combating corruption, and strengthening Democrat governance. So she did not do a great job there. Protecting human rights and labor rights, possibly, I don't know. Countering violence. Don't think she did a good job with that at all. And then combating sexual and gender-based violence.
Biden than more than
at the border. At the border,
I don't know about the border. I'm just talking about overall.
But no, so her responsibilities with the border was specifically countering violence. So while she wants to worm her way out of any responsibility here, during the Biden and Harris administration, more people were let into the country illegally because they did not put any emphasis or effort in stopping that from happening. Regardless, maybe you say, "Hey, man, it's a human rights thing.Ese people are people too. We want to let them in the country." If you believe that, then own it. That's fine.
Broken. I'll grant you
that.
Right.
If you believe that, then own it. That's fine. Here's the main one that I have the biggest issue with is voter ID. I have absolutely no idea how, as a Democrat, you can support you're against voter ID. That still makes no sense to me. Alex, you're living in an apartment right now where you had to show your ID. You had to show your ID if you get stopped at a traffic light. You had to show your ID when you buy alcohol. Yeah, you can show your ID. Now, the response that Democrats have is that 11% of the population are somehow disenfranchised because they're older or they're poor. But those same older and poor people, if they're asked for their identification by a police officer when they're walking down the street, apparently that doesn't violate their civil rights. Voter ID, the only reason you can be against voter ID is the same reason why you have no problem with illegal.
Wait, Michael, a police officer cannot ask you for your ID. You need to be under suspicion of some kind of a crime.
It
Not
doesn't.
arrested
But
with suspicion.
if they do ask you for your ID, you're legally required to provide it.
But they can't ask you unless you're under suspicion of a crime.
So suspicion
Can I
or
ask a
whatever.
question?
Also,
Can I
Alex,
ask
they
you-
can also ask for your ID if you witnessed a crime. Alex, they can also ask for your ID then. And my question to you one more time: why is it okay
I'll answer
to
it.
ask you for your ID then, but it's not okay for them to ask your ID, infringing on someone else's right to vote in free and fair elections?
Yeah, I'll respond to that. So
We
I
will
don't-
return to puss talk very shortly.
Well, let me answer Michael's question. Because otherwise, everyone's going to think I
started
got
this, Austin, and then I got a question. All right, but go for it.
All right. So here's the answer. First of all, this is not something I have a strong position on. I think you could make an argument for requiring IDs. Here's the crux of why I don't think it's important, because they've investigated widespread election fraud so many times, and it's never once been an issue. We don't have widespread election fraud, meaning there's probably like
That's because it's fraud. That's because it's fraud. That's my point. Is
no, they
you're
do
saying
investigations. They
you're
did,
saying they're
they
not
did investigation in
investigating
Georgia. They
widespread-
did investigation in Arizona, and they found there was no widespread.
Again,
fraud.
you're telling me that they found no widespread investigation fraud because they were tracking people who they couldn't identify. Think about what you're saying, Alex.
Well,
The whole premise of checking for widespread election fraud, when you can't ask people for their ID, you don't know if there was election.
You realize
fraud.
that you give your social, right?
Well, listen, but you have no ID to match with your social. I can get social.
But if they do
I can go
investigation,
right
they can
now,
go-
before we finish this call, I can go right now on a ton of websites to get social security numbers from people who are dead right now. Again, my point.
Yeah,
but
so
if
like
you're
this was
willing
a
to
quick.
get
Alex,
They
you're
can
also
get
making
the
my point
social
for me. If
security
you're
numbers
willing
and
to
it's
give up your
50%.
social security number to the person at the electioneer, if you're willing to give them their social security number, why not also?
It's
give
not a
them
privacy, Michael.
your
It's not a
ID.
privacy issue, Michael. It's not a privacy
It's
issue.
not a I'm not saying it's a privacy issue either. What I'm saying is, how can you be opposed to asking for someone's identification when they vote? How
Because-
can
Yeah,
that
there
logic
really
make
is
law
no
because-
good counter argument to that.
because-
There's
I
no
think that's
counter argument to this.
All right.
I've got
Well,
one.
let me present my counter argument, because
Okay,
about
go ahead.
10% of the population is not going to be able to vote, and this is not something we can relate to. We all have licenses, we all have passports, but a lot of Americans don't have a passport, and there's some Americans who live in the hoods and the ghetto. They don't even have a driver's license. No one in
Again,
their family.
Dude,
I-
you need
again,
an
I-
ID
again,
to
let-
drink
let-
alcohol, to
numbers-
enter a
those-
nightclub,
Yeah,
to
again,
drive
those
a
numbers
car.
those numbers need to be
It's
updated,
silly.
Alex, because the number of people that don't have an ID is not 10% of the population.
What do you
is
think
the
that
I've
number
heard
is?
said- Again, that number came from one study done by one liberal university, stating that 11% of the population was going to be disenfranchised because they weren't going to be able to show an ID. But the four of us know, hey man, we're going to go out to the club. Oh, sorry man, I don't have an ID. We would look at you like, what? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Because
It's a normal
we're
It's a normal expectation. It's not.
We're
it's not
not,
the
dude, because we
rich.
don't live in the hood. What do you think happens in the hood? You think
Bro,
we're going to
I
go to
grew
a nice
up in the
bar?
hood, bro.
You go to their
I
local
went
bar
to
where no
Woods-
one checks
I
ID.
went to
Well, the drink
Woodrow
on the
Wilson
street.
High School in East Dallas. We all
Alex,
had
you're not
fucking
making a
ID.
good argument. I'm sorry,
Bro,
bro.
we all had an ID. This is ridiculous. I don't.
You
so
can get an
I
ID.
have friends. Hold
Population you think
on.
doesn't
Listen,
have an
Alex.
ID?
I have
Okay.
several friends. I have at least 6 friends who have gone to jail for selling crack cocaine, and they would never travel with an ID, specifically because they were trying to avoid the police, but they did not have an ID. And you can ask for someone's social security number, but not their driver's license. Alex, you have no.
I think this is
counter-argument
why.
to this.
Well,
I
if
think
you
this
let
is
me make my
why-
counter argument, I will be able to give it. So the counter argument is this: there has never been one case of widespread voter fraud. There's and
Again,
this has been
Alex, you
investigated.
aren't
Let me finish,
checking
let me
their
finish.
IDs. You
Let me
can't
finish.
tell if
This
there
has
hasn't been voter
investigated.
fraud.
This has
I
been
mean, you can,
investigated
though.
by
You can check
Republican
voter fraud if you're not
Congress
checking your
people.
ID, right?
This has been investigated by Republican
Alex,
governors.
pause.
And not once have they
pause.
been able to find a single case of widespread voter fraud.
Again, Alex,
this
that
is
is
trying to
not
fix an issue.
number one.
exist.
You
Okay.
can't.
Boys,
If you're not doing,
this
if you're not
This
doing
is
their
this is
ID,
why
there's no way to
politics
know.
real
sometimes
Number two,
makes you.
you're not making a point.
This is
in
why I don't
favor
pay
of
too
your
much
point.
attention to it.
You're
This is-
making a point slightly against mine, but not in favor of yours. This is no reason.
this is
for
a
them
real
to
counter
not
argument,
I
have
okay?
told you, I
You
don't
ready?
have a strong position on this.
Already? Yeah. Basically, what Alex is saying is you're right. Like, I think me and Alex would both agree here that at the end of the day, if we could just wave a magic wand and we could see that, okay, most people have an ID, or we make it accessible for them to get an ID, and then you can go vote with your ID, I think we all agree with that. The problem is, I think, is why a lot of people disagree with this, is it doesn't just feel like it's voter ID. There feels like a lot on the right, they're trying to implement a lot of things to restrict people from voting. So it starts with voter ID, which I think we agree with, but then it goes to the no like write-in ballots, or no sending things out, and no voting from overseas. And it feels like you're just trying to minimize the amount of people voting. But I think we can all agree, if it's just voter ID if most people have an ID, I think that makes sense. They do it like the rest of the world.
Bro,
The reason
I
you
want
get
to take it
pushback
one step
from that-
further.
The reason you get pushback from that is because it just feels like it's coming from a place where it's like we just want to put
It
in
definitely
net
is coming
restrictions
from that place.
on people for
Oh,
voting.
Alex,
That's
not
why.
only
That's the counter
I not only am I against any politician who's against voter ID, any politician who's going to be opposed to using blockchain for voting, I'm going to be opposed to that as well. In the future, this is an inevitability, and in the future, we will be using identification for people who are voting. It's inevitable that this is going to happen, and you're just standing in the way. You're standing in the way.
Well, I'm not a politician. I don't make policy. What
I'm saying is,
there's
a fact.
huge amounts of
This
voter
people-
fraud with people stealing.
Well, like I said, I don't have a strong
To
position on
To
this.
me,
I
to
think
me,
this explains why I don't think it's an important issue.
the biggest single losing argument for the Democrats is the economy as far as inflation is concerned. The second biggest one is Kamala Harris saying that she
Inflation
wants
is 2.1% right now.
No, it's okay. If you count what's industrial,
Isn't it the best in the world right now?
America did better than any first world country recovering. From
USA.
the pandemic.
Yeah, okay. Going back to what I'm saying,
Suck
before,
it, Australia.
The 4 years that Biden was the 4 years Biden was in office, it was 17% in inflation year on year.
It was
That the
never
first
over 10%.
No, I agree. It was
Which is
9.1%, but all year on year, that's why inflation adds year to year. So
Yeah, yeah.
Prices are higher than they were before,
That's right.
and he does have to own some of it because I didn't say to send $175 billion to Ukraine. He did. So now with that,
You realize that's 2% of our budget, right?
agreed.
Well,
Hell,
Wasn't Trump spending ridiculous amounts of money?
he's not spending as much money as the Biden administration. Look
And
at the
it's pretty
deficit. It's gone up
close. He
significantly
blew up
more.
the deficit by $4 trillion.
And what? It's
Dude,
not
And
as
he
much
was
as
doing
okay,
that
the-
right
the-
when- he
the
was doing
goal
that
is-
before COVID when there was actually good economic. Yeah, okay, pussy. Sorry.
Okay,
Pussy.
anyway,
Sorry.
Let's get back to it. I feel like I'm
Okay,
making
last one. Here, Alex, here's the
We're
last
gonna
one I want you to
focus
defend. Really,
more.
I need you
Okay.
to defend this. When
Okay.
when Kamala Harris says she is going to allow for sex change for prisoners, go.
Oh,
Go.
who gives a
Okay,
fuck?
so
It's like one.
here's my
Mandatory sex
go.
changes.
Hold on, wait.
No,
Hold on.
fuck.
Marcus, you just said it feels like we're restricting voting access to certain people. Well, I got to
Well,
count
let
for
me
you, Marcus.
respond to
It
this.
feels like we're allowing prisoners
it.
and people who are
Okay,
asking for asylum to come to this
let me
country.
respond.
When I
to
use
this.
the word "it feels like," okay,
Let me-
you can
let
use
me
semantics
respond
all
to
you
this.
want. When I use the word "it feels like," the feelings come from behaviors and actions. It's like when you
Correct,
say,
and same thing
feel
here.
like
Thank
my
you,
ex is a
thank you,
bitch,
thank you, brother.
okay,
We
it
agree.
comes
We agree.
from
They do
behaviors
come
and
from.
actions. It's not just a feeling. It's not like, oh, I feel like this candidate's just really cool. It's not that. The feeling comes from behaviors and actions.
Marcus, it feels like taxpayers are going to be paying for sex change operations for prisoners.
So
That's what it feels. Oh wait,
okay, hang
it
on.
doesn't
Let me-
feel
let
like
me
that.
just respond
That's
to this.
exactly what you said is going to happen.
Let me respond to this. Okay, here's my response. Number one, taxpayers
No
are paying for a
response.
lot. They're paying for oil companies. We're giving subsidies to oil companies. They're paying for big farming conglomerates. We're talking about billion-dollar corporations. So taxpayers are paying for a lot of things that they should not be paying. And this is a relatively small drop in the bucket if it does happen. The second thing is that I just don't give a shit about tranny prisoners. Like, it's just so uninteresting to me in terms of
They're
issues
not
go.
tranny
But
prisoners.
the
They're
third
going to
thing
become
is
tranny
during the
prisoners
4
because we're
years.
paying for it.
Wait, let me respond. Here's the final counter. During the 4 years of the Biden administration, there's been absolutely zero legislation of any kind in terms of anything that defends trans rights or trannies being able to remove their penises. That's the first thing. There's been zero legislation, unless you can point something out. But I've looked into, there's been zero legislation. And Kamala, while she may virtue signal about this, she has proposed zero policies as it relates to this. Zero policies. She just virtue signals about it. And this is no different than Trump virtue signaling about the fact that he's going to end the war in Ukraine in day one day. No one actually believes that. So there's a difference between virtue signaling and actually policies that you've either they were in power. Democrats were in power 4 years. They could have proposed policies in any way related to trans rights, but they didn't. So I don't think this is something that Democrats.
I have no problem. I have no problem with trans rights. Cut your dick off if you want to. This is not my feeling. This is actually, she stated, she basically took a massive L and stated.
Yeah,
on
but what
camera
has she actually? What did the Biden administration actually do?
It's the same, but I can make the same argument about 15 things that Trump said. Of
Okay,
course, they're virtue signaling.
can I give you
I'm
my point on
supposed to
this?
support her. I'm
Can I
supposed
give
to
you my
support
point
her
on
after
this?
she
This is
says
such
it.
a relevant issue, though.
Can I
As
give
far
you
as
my
they all
point?
go.
Yeah,
I don't
Their
know why
argument is that the
conservatives
issue.
are
Yeah,
so
so
upset.
pretty soon, basically,
Their argument
we're doing
is-
the night
their
game
argument is
version
not-
of it.
You're right, Michael, but it's irrelevant. That's what your argument is. Got it.
No, you're not
That's
right
your
about
argument.
this.
I am.
Okay, are you
Bro,
done
she
screaming?
didn't say that she was going to have the government pay for prisoners and illegal immigrants to get transsexuals
Yeah,
operations. She didn't say that.
Why is everyone obsessed with
No.
trans?
I agree that she said it. I just think
She
there's
said it.
absolutely no evidence
Yes.
that she's going to do it.
There's no
Michael,
evidence.
can I
Trump
ask
says
you
a
a
lot
question?
crazier shit than that.
Can I ask you a question, Michael? Why do you care about this so much?
Again, because what you said. It feels like when I look
I don't know
at
why
their,
you keep going over the feels like. I'm asking,
because
why do you care about this so much?
Right? No. I'm making a correlation. You're saying before, it's coming from a place where it feels like they're trying to restrict people's ability to vote. I don't think they are at all. I think actually what's happening is you should, for free and fair elections to take place, you need voter identification.
You think it's
in this case, hold on, but what you're saying is it's going to chip away at people's ability to be able to vote by making it more difficult. Well, I feel the same way in this way. We start with having government-funded transsexual operations in prison, and then it feels like
we've already done it.
Right. But my point is, because this is where we're starting, then it feels like then this is the first step in many. Just like you said before with voting, it's the first step in many.
I gave you the next steps. They already spoke about wanting to restrict voting in other ways. I'm asking you, what are the next steps?
They've already done it.
Next steps, what are you talking about? Like we're literally having we literally have
a bunch of polling places in poor areas and areas that are likely to go Democrat. They already did this.
That has nothing to do with voter ID.
I want to hear from Michael. I want to know what's going to devolve. I'm actually curious.
The next step might be, and it's something we've already seen before, is that in our education system, we might be exposing small children to men dressing in trans outfits and sucking on bananas in elementary schools, which we have video of actually happening. The next step might be we might start having
what's wrong with that?
Men, we might be having pride parades where men are exposing their genitalia in front of small children. Do you know that if I had a parade before, it was like a sexually explicit parade, like an AVN parade, we can make the parade 18 and up. When there are people in the city of San Francisco who said we need to make this pride parade 18 and up since we're going to be exposing genitalia.
You guys obsessed with trans stuff way too much. Like
again, no. My point is, it feels like
we have. Well, listen, you're feeling wrong
again, but then you should be reassured by the fact that during the Biden presidency, 4 years, there was absolutely no policy related to trans things at all. So you should feel like
the policy was that there are no policy.
I love that. Let's bring it back to game. This is a good example of a shit test. You could say something about gay people, and they're like, "Man, you really think about gay sex a lot."
Yeah. I do think we should bring it back to game. Michael, by the way, I would love to have a full 2-hour discussion.
Yeah, because it's hot.
Policy, if you want to do it.
That's why I think about it a lot.
Let's go. All right. So
how to exaggerate
people? Is that the
bring
next
it back
topic?
to dating? We'll bring it back.
Austin. So you meet a trans person, okay? They're a girl. I don't know what you call them now, okay? Yeah. Amazing. 10 out of 10. Super hot. Big titties, holding a gun. What do you do, okay? This girl is like, Austin, and soft voice. Like, you don't know. You know that they've got a dick.
All right, let me bring it back for real.
I go for the clothes, honestly.
This is false. Bring it back. Okay, let's bring it back for real. We talked
Remember your training.
We talked about cold approach a lot. Let's talk about let's move on to social circle next. Let's talk about social circle game. Let's start off with this question.
Just a slight tangent we had. This
is why initially, Austin, when you said that, I said don't fucking do it because I knew this was going to happen.
And now Austin's like, boys, can we get back to talking about posts?
and now it feels like
social circle game. Like, let's talk Puff Daddy. Let's start with him. That's great social circle.
This guy was asking. Yeah, we filmed a lot of this in Europe. We did like a Europe tour. We did like 12 countries or something, and we filmed a bit of this in each country. But yeah, soon.jpg.
Okay, let's bring it back to social circle game. What are the biggest keys to being able to pull off having a good social circle and sleeping with hot girls from your social circle?
I'll give the floor to Michael.
So I mean, there's several things that I found. One of the things that I found is getting as many women into one place as possible and having them sort of it's almost like do you remember A Beautiful Mind, John Nash's theory of economics? It's very similar to that. What happens in most cases with women because of social media is they see themselves as the scarce resource and they see most men as the abundant resource. And men are to blame for this because men act like simps most of the time. When you get into a social circle situation, it's not just social circle, it's social circle plus ratio. I always try to encourage ratio, meaning 2 women for every guy, 3-4 women for every guy. When you can make that happen, there's this almost this magic that happens where there's certain steps in game that you can just skip and you're automatically she's curious. There's a certain level of social proof that happens, and it's a massive crutch. I'm going to be the first to tell you, you're not quite famous, but it's a similar part of the brain. And then when you do that, when you have that, all you do from there is like I said before, you're looking for compliance, which leads back to your place. But one of the best things that I've ever found as far as seeding the pool is having another one of my super hot female friends telling the girl I like, hey, we're going back to Michael's place. And when we do that, the girl gives no objections and she goes back. So having a bunch of female friends that, one, calibrate you to other women. Remember, Austen was talking about being desensitized. Two, that give you incredible levels of access. I get to go backstage at a ton of conferences, on stage at every single nightclub, all kinds of stuff like that. And my clients do too. We just crossed over 3,000 clients in MOA. They'll tell you the exact same thing. And number three, women introduce you to other women. All the last few women that I've dated, it was a woman who introduced me to another woman. I'm putting out a video here in a couple of weeks where I go to Swimsuit USA. It's 55 women competing for Miss Swimsuit USA. All the girls are 24 years or younger. The women have no tattoos. None of them are social media influencers. And all of them say the same thing, that they met their boyfriends through Social Circle. Yeah.
Okay, let me give the biggest counter argument to social circle game. I'm curious what your thoughts on this are.
Sure.
Well, not me, but some people will argue that this only works, like the system that you kind of propose building a social circle, if either you know someone rich or you have some level of money. Like, what do you do if you have like very little disposable income?
Yeah.
Is this something that's possible for you?
Yeah, so we never spend any money. In fact, in the first 6 months, we actually tell them, like, if you have to and you can't find any location to do things, then it's okay maybe to go on Gigster. But I'll show you at least 10 or 20 different events that I've thrown where I've spent, maybe I bought a large pizza and some water. That was about all I did. The other thing is, one of the reasons, Alex, why these guys have a hard time finding locations or logistical places to do these things is because they're not doing what I said before, which is the reason why I'm able to find mansions to throw huge parties at and I don't have to pay any money is because women are directing me to the guys who have these mansions. Like I said before, it's the female teammates. I almost treat them like I'm Leon Panetta and they're my CIA agents. They give me all the intel on like where to go and what to do. Men generally forget that part of the game. I spend no money on any of the photo shoots I have, any of the comp tables I have, any of that stuff. As a rule, I spend zero money for any of my birthday parties. I get paid to host some of these events as well. So it's like, not only is it not true, it's kind of anti-true. Like, not only do most of my clients not spend a dime in order to make these events happen, often they get paid in order to bring groups of girls to different events.
What do you do if you're starting out though? Like in the very, very beginning where
Yeah.
you don't have any kind of social status yet. I believe you said that you want to use either cold approach or DMs or whatever to get in this. You're like, you don't know anything. You just started literally tomorrow.
Great question.
At this point, you're just reaching out to girls. Don't you need like a place to invite them to, something high value? Like, why would they at this point where you have no value yet tell you about places?
Yeah. So that's such a great question. So the way I get this question so often, Alex, because what I teach is such a mind fuck from like what most people, it's such a different type of understanding than what most people have. And by the way, if you guys want to see 200 instances of what I'm saying, go to moamentoring.com/testimonials. We just put up 200 video testimonials where the guys will go off and explain to you how they built their own social circles. So the way it works is there's the first 4 steps. Step number 1 is to fix your Instagram. Just imagine, Alex, if you went to an attorney's office and he was missing a couch or there was a wall missing in his office, you'd be like, there's something wrong here. With men, a lot of times we have very, very poor Instagrams. I'd say about 95% of guys have very poor Instagrams. And so your Instagram needs to show 5 things: relevancy, competency, access to scarce resources. That doesn't mean money. It means your access to like cool places, high status, social proof and pre-selection. Those are the 5 things. It doesn't mean your IG needs to show all 5 of those things, but it only needs to stay in those 5 categories whenever you're doing stuff. That's the first thing. So your social media needs to be fixed. Number 2 is you need to build a list. Generally, I try to pick people around in a 400-mile area. I try to pick 200 female influencers and 200 cool guys that maybe if I had a hypothetical podcast, I would want them to come on my show. That's where I start. It's usually about 2,000. My lists are around 4,000 or 5,000 girls that I have right now. You can also shorten this whole thing up. If you hire a VA for like $5 an hour, they can actually go through and build your list for you. I actually train several VAs to work in this specific capacity. So it makes it very quick so that the guy in a couple of days will have like a 5,000 person list. Also, all of us in Men of Action, we share our list with one another. And then this is the third one, Alex, and this is the mind fuck. And several people, I'm going to say this and they're going to tell me it's not true. They're going to tell me this makes no sense. And this is the hardest thing to understand. So I need everybody to pay attention to what I'm saying. You can invite girls to events that they can't even go to. And you can invite girls to events that you can't go to. It's really fucking hard for people to grasp this. But Alex, if you couldn't go, so right now I know I'm going to be hosting the Maxim Super Bowl party in New Orleans this year coming up. Alex, if you knew a bunch of super hot girls and be like, hey, would you guys like to go to the Maxim Super Bowl party? Even if you couldn't go, Alex, I have the guest list. And I can get every one of those girls on the guest list, and you get 100% credit for it. And every one of those girls now has an open thread with you, so that later on, when
Michael,
you
real
do an
quick, but
event,
that's because I'm friends with you. But if I didn't know you, how would I do that?
it's a social circle. Like, it's not just me. It's like all of the guys in the group. We all do this for one another. And by the way, if you do know me, there's very few parties in this country I can't get girls on a guest list for. And that's what I do constantly. I have a team of people that does this. So now, again, it's a party that often I'm inviting gorgeous girls that live in Hungary or Romania to Maxim and Maxim Halloween, to the Ignite parties or whatever. And because the girls get the invite, even though they can't come, and often I can't even go. I was inviting girls to the Maxim party in Miami this last weekend during Halloween. When I was doing so, the girls were like, thank you very much. I got them on the list because my buddy Sam Rima was running the list for that party, or he was running the list for that party and the one in Dallas. There was also a Maxim party there. It's a very easy connection, a very easy network to get into if you know girls, if you know how to invite girls. So now what usually happens is when you message a girl who's really attractive, it goes in the request folder, not for me and my clients. It goes directly into the primary folder. So now, Alex, when your birthday comes up, or you know a girl who has a birthday coming up, and you are like, let's just say you have some big event coming up, whatever, a model volleyball. I know they do that in South Beach every year. You want to invite a bunch of girls to that. You tell some people ahead of time, hey, the event organizer, is it cool if I stop by and bring 10 girls? You do that. All the girls respond to you immediately. They see that you have social proof on your social media. They see that you have a perfectly curated Instagram. And next thing you know, you have 1,000 open threads with beautiful women. This takes less than a few months to pull this off.
Is it fair to say that social circle game has the biggest barrier to entry, but also if you are able to get into it, it has the best ROI? Is that a fair statement?
Well, the best ROI, like the president, we have two political candidates that both use social circle game. Am I wrong? Think about the parties and all the celebrities you saw Trump with, and the same thing with Kamala. It's an absolute cheat code. When you figure it out, all the connections that you make, every single content creator that I'm a huge fan of, with the exception of, like, say, Joe Rogan, I'm friends with. I message them anytime I want, and they'll just message me right back. And it's because of a social circle that I was created. Justin Waller, right now, while we're talking right now, just messaged me to introduce him to Casey Zander. When Bilzerian went on Patrick Bet-David, I was the one who set that up. I set up Wes Watson going on Fresh and Fit. I set up all these different things because I use the connections. It's like Euclidean geometry. If A equals B, and it's a transitive property, if A equals B and B equals C, then C equals A. If I introduce the billionaire to the playmate, this crazy thing happens where they see themselves as a 10 and they attribute a 10 status to me. In the function is called value arbitrage. Yeah. Well, but when you use those properties, that's my properties that I use for male on male interaction when I meet other guys and network with them. Those men give me access to bigger and better events where I meet more girls. But another thing, like, I do that's a little different. Like, when I go to Tai Lopez's house, I always try to bring 15, 20 girls with me. I'm like, hey, you guys know Tai Lopez? He's made all these people millionaires. I send a really short message. I show a picture of the house, and I get loads of girls to come with me. So now I'm the guy.
I show a picture of him in his garage. That's
for sure. I show up to Tai Lopez's mansion parties. I speak at the parties, and I bring 20 girls with me. Now every guy there wants to know who I am, and more girls at the party want to know who is this guy who brought 20 girls to Tai Lopez.
Yeah, I get it.
Again, it's not just me. Like I said, we've just crossed 3,000 people that have gone through the course, and there are 200 testimonials if you go to moamentoring.com/testimonials. So they go over, and specifically, the other really great key to social circle game is if you're short, you're brown, you're poor, you're fucking overweight, or you're old, you can overcome those things with social proof in way. I mean, you guys have all seen people do this before. The amount of things that you can overcome using pre-selection is outrageously high. So one of my students, one of my coaches, he's 4'11", and he's dating a super, super hot girl. I got videos of him with his gorgeous girlfriend, and it's because he told me the only reason it happened was because that girl kept seeing other women competing for his attention at all these different events he threw. So social circle can overcome anything. It takes less time, is less expensive. And the other thing I love about it is it works on the good girls. It really does. My ex-girlfriend, you guys know, she was She's from Southwest Arkansas. She had no Instagram, no tattoos, no nothing. And I'm about to put out a video right now where I interviewed 20 girls from Swimsuit USA, all under 24, no tattoos. Most of them are blonde white women. None of them are social media influencers. And when I asked them about the last 3 guys they're dated, one of them is usually in high school because these girls
Wait,
are
you
so
think
young.
it's less expensive than like Cold Approach, where there's no like nothing?
Well, because Cold Approach, there generally, not all the time, but there might be alcohol involved in entry fees, and for us, there's nothing. Like there's no fee. If you do Social Circle the way I do, it costs nothing. Now there's an exception. The only exception would be if it's a situation where you legitimately can't find any place. So like when I lived in Wichita, Kansas, when I lived in Warner Robins, Georgia, I was able to pull this off. The advantages to being in a small town, by the way, massive advantage, is that if you figure out a small town, you have no competition. You know, the bigger, better deal, you have no competition. One of my clients is a 52-year-old grandfather who lives in Eastern Washington. He's a nuclear safety engineer, and he does go rent a boat once a month. He'll go rent a little shitty boat, and he'll invite all the girls in that area of town. And I show you pictures of this dude with like 7-8 girls on the boat because there's no competition. No one else is competing with him because he's in a small town. Like I said, I did this in San Antonio, Texas. I did this in Altus, Oklahoma. I did this in Wichita, Kansas, and I did this in Warner Robins, Georgia. So this works in really small towns as well.
All right, let's let the other guys get in on that. I don't know. Any thoughts? Anything to add?
I just had a question because I know you're somewhat older, Michael. So what do you think still drives you to build this social circle and do all these cool things? And like, is it just like you're excited about it, or is it like? Because me personally, I've done some of the stuff that you're talking about. I just have zero drive for it. I like don't care. Like I like, I don't know. It's not my thing. I don't know.
Oh, this is a great question. And I get this all the time. I'm 47 years old. So part of the reason why is it's kind of what you associate your mind to, right? So if you play a video game and you're just really good at it, you want to play the game more, right? If you do something and you're just really good at it, you want to do it more. For me, for a lot of people, they go to nightclubs and social situations and they end up just feeling either ostracized or having to talk too loud or spend money or whatever. For me, I walk on stage. I'm standing behind Tiesto. I go talk to the hottest girl I've ever seen in my life, and I'm out of there in 45 minutes with her number and possibly leaving with her. So to me, I associate these social circle situations with really good feelings and often a threesome. Like that's honestly what it is for me. But the short answer is, Austen, it's testosterone and caffeine. Those are the 2 things that motivate me probably the most.
Mm-hmm.
I think just also there's different motivations for different people.
I love beautiful women.
It's not that I don't like girls. I like girls. I guess like for me,
Austen,
it might be I associate those things with. I mean, a quarter of my lays have come from social circle. I'm not
sure.
It obviously works, but I think it's very draining for me to spend a lot of time around people in general. So I do need a lot of time for myself, and I have to organize so many things in my life already that the idea of like piecing together another thing or just having it be a part of my daily routine seems like a bit much. And by the way, my testosterone is around 1,000, so I'm GG on that.
Show us. Yeah,
I think we can make it higher.
I've got a lot of guys like that too.
I'll pull it up.
That are a bit introverted, so they sometimes find this a bit much. I'm joking, Austen. You don't know. Yeah, look, I've been coaching for Dan B in his Sigma Society course. And one thing that he says a lot is, I mean, having the money is amazing. Like having the money, you can build a social circle a lot easier than not. But I agree with Michael Sartain here. Like when I started my social circle, money wasn't the value add that I had there. A lot of it was just leads. And we started out with like sex parties, right? We just had a lot of girls, had a couple of guys who were like super open. We're like, all right, fuck it, house party, but this is a sex party. This is how we're going to do it. And then we went into doing just like weekend events, which was, we call it Sports Sundays. So we go do like an activity. We do like pre-drinks. I had a goal, basically just messaging girls through Bumble BFF, and here are the T levels, and setting up stuff with me. The biggest thing I want to tell guys about Social Circle is it's fucking incredible, okay? But it's not as easy as just like clicking your fingers and it fucking happens. Just having goals around you won't get you laid. You need to do a little bit of work on yourself, okay? So what I mean by this is sometimes you can have like negative pre-selection. If you're at a party and you got a bunch of girls around you and you're chasing all of them nonstop and they're rejecting you, everyone sees that. If you have a bunch of girls at a party with you and they know you've like arbitraged this table and it's just a free table, and they rock up and you get one cheap bottle of wine and the girls drink it in 5 minutes, and they're like, well, what are we doing now? And you're like, I'm not buying another one.
Yeah.
And you haven't really built anything with the girls, and they just see you as this guy they go in the club with, then that's going to die really quickly too. So there's huge, amazing return on investment here. Like, especially once you start getting some success with women, building a social circle should be the next step here. Unless, as Austen said, like sometimes, hey, I'm getting enough women with what I'm doing, I'm enjoying it, and you know, I'm a little bit introverted, I don't want to spend time hanging around people. But yeah, if you want to do that, a lot of the time you are saving a lot of effort here. If you have a funnel set up,
yeah, I feel like the benefit of it is more so like making friends than it is for fucking girls. Like fucking girls really isn't that complicated. Like Alex shows you can just get on a Tinder and meet some girls.
There's access to certain girls that you're not going to get. I don't know if you can show my screen here, but there's access to certain girls you're just not going to get unless you kind of do social. Because the thing is, so I did surveys with these girls that were at Swimsuit USA. Again, not influencers. Many of them were under 24. Several of them brought their parents to this thing. And then I asked them, like, have you ever slept with a guy from Cold Approach? And they were like, well, it was usually like I was in a suite at a football game, or a friend of a friend introduced me, or something like that. I'm not saying there's a certain type of girl that you can meet in pickup situations, because when you meet them in those pickup situations, they're available to you. But there's a certain type of girl where you have to get beyond the rope and in different situations in order to make that happen. That's the only thing I would say.
Just quickly though,
yeah.
I would disagree with that.
Goals, I don't think many of them are going to be like, listen, I got railed by the football team last week and it was fucking fire. I had so much fun. It was like, I agree. There's probably like nice, sweet, like girls here, but I think you find that everywhere. I think like
agree.
What
I'm saying is there's still the access to those girls. Like that's, I think, what the difference is in certain situations. Like if you guys come with me and we go to EDC, there's a sky deck up there that like only celebrities can get into, and I can get my guy friends into there pretty easily. And when I do that, I get wristbands for like 15, 16 girls. There's access to certain women that happens through social circle, that certain type of women, a certain caliber of women. I mean, depending on what you guys say, I mean, girls that are
depends what you
really
mean by
hot
caliber.
to me.
Like if you're looking for a girl that is a celebrity or something, then yeah, I'd agree. You're probably not going to find her on Tinder. But it's right. What do you mean by caliber, right? Like what do you mean by caliber?
For sure. So I want to go both ways. At Swimsuit USA, those girls were all under 24, no tattoos, not social media influencers. Several of them, like I said, brought their parents there. And I'm gonna do a video where it goes over girls saying, I met this guy because his girlfriend was super hot. I met this guy because a girl introduced me. They admit to sleeping with dudes. It's just when they say they
competition. Sorry,
yeah, there's a swimsuit competition because I don't like obesity.
Instagram.
No, I'm not saying they don't have Instagram. What I'm saying is the girls who have like 200,000-300,000 followers, or they make like none of the girls there had OnlyFans. Zero of them had OnlyFans.
Oh, okay. But they're trying to build their Instagram and stuff, right? Like you'd consider them like Instagram girls there, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because I know what you're saying, and you definitely get access to very, very attractive women. I'm sure a decent percentage of them are awesome people. I think though it is a selected group of more narcissistic people that they're participating in a competition about how beautiful they are in the bikini and stuff.
I like attractive women competing with each other to look attractive for me. I don't have a problem with that. And I'm saying there's a difference between comparing their quality in terms of just looks versus internal qualities. I know me personally, I probably wouldn't want a girl that's competing in these kind of competitions. But that's maybe I'm just different. I don't know. Okay.
I definitely agree that it's a great method to meet a lot of girls, and I'm sure it's the same thing. You know, you're dating, you have to select for the kind of girls that you want and the type of girls that resonate with you and who you are.
Sure.
I mean, you could do like a yoga event, right? Like you could do like a sunrise meditation event.
Yeah, I get that.
Like different goals for sure, but yeah, I like
find out what you like and then enter those environments. I definitely
exactly.
Agree with that. Yeah. And I think long term that is the best option for many people. But I think here's where I might disagree with you and Marcus. I think it's best to learn social skills through cold approach and just basic socializing first before adding the social circle element to it, because what I found is that reputation factors play a bigger role in these social circle events, and a mistake in a nightclub results in usually nothing, and you're not going to remember the girl. Whereas in some social circle events, it can be there's the reputation factors are more sensitive, so you have to play it more slow, and you have to know when to make the right move and all that kind of stuff.
So I teach 8 immersion courses, where they're 1-week courses here in Las Vegas, and all they have to do 50 cold approaches a night. But we do cold approach to build a social circle.
Yeah.
And we don't, and it's very little intent based in the beginning. It's very much like what you said before, Austen. Like I never, or not, actually, it was Markus who said this in my social circle situation. Even like, for instance, when I'm hosting a bikini competition, I don't even let my girlfriend touch me. I want the girl, the appearance must always be the girls are competing for my attention. Even you'll even notice in the photos, the girls can touch me. I don't touch the girls. And so that's another thing that what we do that's just a little bit different, but it's cold approach to build a social circle. That's generally the way that we look at it. So in my course, the way it works is on Monday, you meet girls. And if you go home with them, cool. If you don't, then you invite them to the thing we're doing on Tuesday. You invite them to the thing we're doing on Wednesday. And by Thursday, these guys have I can show you the pictures. They have a comp with like fucking 20 girls there. And that's what we do.
I think it's funny how all of us have the skills to like optimize all this stuff. And then most guys just want to bang like 2 girls and like exit it forever.
Agreed.
It's kind of funny. You're like, no, but you can optimize this and get into the bikini competition. And then Markus is like, here's how you pull 3 times a night.
Let me.
Most guys are like, I just want a girl to touch my wiener, bro.
Let's just all have Diddy parties. Let's just do that instead. The baby oil.
I'm down.
Let me bring it back to building an Instagram. So here's like where I'm coming from. I do understand the kind of photos you're talking about, high value, but from my personal experience, those photos largely came as a result of me having my YouTube channel. So I'll just like quickly share my screen and show my Instagram, and then maybe you can kind of walk me through how like a guy who's doesn't have a YouTube channel would get those things. So like, definitely.
Can I say one thing? Because I think status is it depends on what the group sees as status. There's this great book called The Status Game, and he talks about like what could be high status in one group could be low status in another.
Yeah.
Like this photo of Alex posing with a Lambo, you know, for a lot of Miami chicks, they're gonna be like, dude, high status, finally a guy, you know, whatever.
Actually,
but
I think it's
there's
the opposite.
A lot of girls
I think outside of Miami. I think outside of Miami. In Miami, they're gonna be like,
some environmental girl is gonna be like, what the fuck? You're using a gas powered car, you fucking bigot, you know? So it depends on the group. And I think one of the best things for Instagram is you develop your Instagram based on what type of girl you want to attract. So like Alex is like, boom, fame. He's got, you know, boom, plaque, girls, a lot of pre-selection. So Alex is kind of aiming, at least for this, to attract a girl who's somewhat higher social status, probably higher economic status, and maybe cares about fame somewhat. Maybe she's like, you know, has some of the
Let me bring it back to my question real quick. Okay, so like this photo, obviously, as a result of having a podcast, this photo as a result of being invited on a podcast, this photo as a result of having a client who rented a Lambo for a day, obviously also boils down to YouTube channel. This is a result of me traveling to Colombia. This is a result of knowing a photographer. This one, I guess I could have gotten without anything. This one, you see the point I'm trying to make. Like a lot of like, how do you get these types of photos if you don't have a YouTube channel?
Several different pitches. No, several of them you could get without that. So again, if you want, I have
Alex just wanted to flex on us with all his photos.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, how do you get an amazing fucking Instagram like mine if you know me?
I don't even think mine is that amazing.
I didn't think about it, but actually, you're right. I'm not going to answer this question. I'm insulted. I have a bunch of Instagram testimonials from my clients. So what we do is we have 3 pitches: fastball, curveball, and changeup. Fastball is the pre-selection photo. The curveball is the what we call like a candid photo, and then the changeup is like a lifestyle photo. That's the way. It doesn't matter what you call them, but we do these 3 things and we sort of mix them up. So the lifestyle photo is like you at the Valley of Fire, or if you go to Red Rock Canyon, or if you go to the Grand Canyon. A lot of people don't travel. When I say access to scarce resources, that doesn't necessarily mean money. What it means is, you understand, most people are obese. They never travel. A lot of people die in the same city they were born in. You just being willing to travel and try new things. It could be a video or a photo of you jumping out of an airplane, different stuff. So you're right, Alex. The willingness to get off your ass, and just why the course is called Men of Action. The willingness for you to get off your ass and to go try new things is really important in order for you to get some of those lifestyle photos. The candid photos, none of them are really candid. They're all kind of set up, but it's you with your friends doing stuff like smoking cigars, playing chess, shooting guns. You're hanging out with some girls, but you're never looking directly at the camera. You're always, the photos are always offset, maybe 30 or 40 degrees, usually eye level or a little bit lower than that. And then the other ones are the pre-selection photos, which is you with girls, and they can be lifestyle photos or candid photos. We just do different ones, and none of them require you to have a podcast. You, like Alex, especially you would know enough people without a podcast. You can have a group of female friends. There could just be all sorts of different things that you can set up to where you can build a really, really cool Instagram. I mean, I have one client. He's a professor at Harvard. He has no pre-selection photos on his Instagram. I have another client. He has a top secret government clearance. He has pictures with women, but it's only at charity events where he's wearing a suit and the girls are touching him. There's a way around all this stuff where you can build your social media.
Okay, fair enough. Let me. This is a really good question, though. I think, what if you have an IG and your posts don't get that much views or that many likes? Doesn't that devalue social status?
I wanted to continue on what Michael said. You don't even need to, like. There's so many things that people have access to. They're just not taking photos there. Like, I found that most people are just not taking photos. Like, every time you go out, eat at a cool restaurant with your friends, take a photo.
I'm gonna use the
just
restaurant.
like take 1% of the time that you do the thing and just get a photo of it. It's pretty.
You know where I learned this, Austen. So I used to be a videographer at the Playboy Mansion, and I would walk around with I had a video camera. I was shooting with an Canon 5D Mark III back then, like way back in the day. And when I would go around, I'd have this big fucking light with me, and people would act so annoyed when I'd start filming them. And those same people, Austen, would hit me up the next day, be like, "Yo, you have the video? Do you have any more video?
Yeah.
Do you have any more video of me?" You take photographs of a girl, and she'd be like, "Oh, like too much. I don't want to do anymore." And then the same girl would hit you up the next day, be like, "Do you have those photos? Can you give me those photos? Where I can get those photos?" And you're exactly right. It's like the photos and videos of the event are a lot of times more important than the event itself, because you use those photos and videos as social proof for the next event, and it creates a snowball effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's also what you use on social media.
The question that got asked, I think that the content of the photo matters more than the views and the followers, but obviously that stuff does play into it as well. But yeah, like if you have a ton of followers, but you're just like collecting rat bones, like no girl's gonna be attracted to that. But if you have cool high status photos, and they don't even necessarily have to be super high status, like a lot of the, like the Nordic countries, they have that concept of jantelogen, which is like if you stand out, you're kind of like the low value person in a way. So it's like it depends on the context and what's high status in certain environments. In America, it's like the highest testosterone place on planet Earth. Like we just like to fucking flex and like I have money and status and all this stuff. And yeah, it depends on the group, but.
Yeah, I think like what I tell some of my students to do if they're starting out with an Instagram and they actually have good photos and they're worried about that, oh dude, I've got like 2 likes on it, is you can just put it on private. Like if you're not doing the huge social circle thing, that's fine. You just pop it on private. If you're just like cold approaching and getting numbers that way, is now the girl gets your Instagram, she sees it on private, you're like, yeah, I don't use social media that much. But then she goes there and you have an incredible fucking lifestyle. That's a good way to build attraction. Otherwise, dude, who gives a fuck? Like, yes, it's going to be better if you have way more likes and way more people following you. But if you don't right now, then unlucky. Just have the good photos to compensate. Some interesting captions like Alex did for his Lambo one. I thought it was funny. So yeah, you just compensate for it.
Yeah, what I've noticed is if you're going to post any kind of photo that's like anything like that, anything that may seem try hard, is you have to counterbalance it with humor.
Yeah. So you have to make fun of the fact that you look like a douchebag on Instagram. It works really well. Yeah. Like for me, I've one whenever I'm in a suit with girls, I'm like, I hope this suit doesn't make my tits look too big, something like that. And you just get a bunch of comments. But yeah, that's definitely the case. The other thing I was going to say is to Austin's or to your question previously, it's the analogy I said before about going to the lawyer's office. The lawyer doesn't, before the lawyer has social proof, what you're looking for is reasons to disqualify him because, there's missing part of the floor or one of the walls are missing or something like that. It's more important that your social media look complete than for you to have a ton of followers. In fact, there's nothing wrong. If a girl sees that you look attractive and high status and not a lot of people following you, hey, that makes you look attainable. I think it's more important is how she feels when she looks at your photos as opposed to how many people.
What percentage of people do you think their Instagram sucks? Like it's not.
If we're talking about men specifically looking to date women, it's in the high 90s.
Yeah, I was gonna say 95.
Most of the Instagrams I see, I just like, there's no way this could ever be used for like
the problem is it's a technology, it's a software update. They're using Facebook ideology on Instagram. Facebook is still a great place to create albums, to show your family, to show you and your buddies getting drunk at the college football game. It's still a great place to show the picture of you with the big gigantic fish. Still a great place for that, right? You cooking out with your buddies. That is not what Instagram is for. Instagram should the best. It was Wes Watson who said this to me. He goes, "People don't want to buy your product; they want to buy your life. You should have photos that make other people.
I don't want Wes's life.
I know. No comment. He's a good buddy of mine. Anyway, but the thing with he was saying some people do want Wes's life. There you go. That's a better way to say it. But the thing I was trying to say is if your social media makes it so that some people, either women say, hey, I could see myself out with him at this place, or make dudes say, hey, I would actually like to trade places with this guy. That's essentially what it should look like.
Yeah, I think the problem is a lot of guys just don't know what the perception of women is. Like you mentioned the big fish. They might put the big fish up and be like, look, I'm a protector. I can hunt. I can do all these things. Like this is an attraction trigger. Check this out. And then they'll have another photo of them there like this, tensing as hard as they can in front of the mirror. And they're like, I've got a great body. Look what I'm doing here. This is all. Yeah. So I think like the real problem here is men just don't know what is actually a good perception or attractive to women. Like that's the
Marcus, what makes it worse is when the girls go, I like the guy with the fish. I don't know what you're talking about. And then you go see who the guy she dates. And it's like, it is nothing like that.
All right, we're going to do 2 profile reviews on Instagram. So put your Instagram handles in the comments. We're going to do 2 only. After those 2, do not post them or you'll be permanently excommunicated from the stream.
Did you put your
it's pretty much impossible to get banned from my channel, but I'll just give you a weird look. All right, we can do like 1 or something. I do think we should wrap up soon because we're coming on 2 hours and people want short shit.
Yeah, we're gonna shift over to our political stream next. Austin's noticing. So
dude, I'm totally down.
It's like, dude, in the future. Stop being a cuck, dude. Just vote for Trump. Stop being a cuck, Marcus.
Stop being a trans, okay? Just
you gay cuck trans loving.
Bro, this YouTube is done. We're done on YouTube, bro.
In case I commit a crime and I'm in jail, that it's gonna be fun to get my dick chopped off. So I'm just
all right. Let's start talking about IQ. And how that impacts,
imagine, if you're trans, you just go to prison. That's perfect. They've got the system set up, and then it gets rid of all the trans people. So the right don't like them anyway.
We hired a consultant for our YouTube. I have no profanity on my YouTube anymore now. We took a shit ton of videos down, dude. It's so crazy, because, dude, I don't believe that maybe whatever you want to say, Biden or Trump. I don't believe this current big tech administration really believes in free speech, and so I'm just trying to play by their fucking rules. I don't use any profanity, or I blank it all out now. I've changed a bunch of stuff, and it's worked. It actually has worked pretty well. Like if you play by the rules, and it sucks, bro. It sucks that it's like this, but I don't use it. When he was over there saying cuck, gay, all this kind of stuff, I would never say that on my channel anymore.
But just take your friend,
Good thing we're on Alex's channel.
I got demonetized. I got demonetized for nothing. I got demonetized for nothing. So I'm just like, I'm good. I'm not playing this game anymore.
But take Wes. He curses a lot. He's definitely, you would say doesn't play by the rules.
He's lost several channels and several Instagrams because he does it. He's lost everything. He's had several of them taken down because he does it.
I thought that was because he has some crazy ex client or ex whatever who doesn't like him.
Who knows? I don't know.
Actually, this will work better in horizontal format.
Yep.
You guys can still see it.
Yeah. Can you go ahead and click on the first one, and I'll start.
Can we read the? Sorry.
Wait, you want to read this?
Yeah. Sorry, I think it's important.
Entrepreneur.
I hate the word entrepreneur. I think so many girls
is the worst fucking word. Never. What entrepreneur means is that you're trying to explain to people that you're good with money because you're not. You're trying to tell people that you're good at business. You want to know how you can show people you're an entrepreneur? By fucking showing them you're an entrepreneur. This makes me so angry when I see people write this shit. They're like entrepreneur. No, bro. If you're an entrepreneur, you don't have to write it in your bio. That is a meaningless word. It used to mean something 20 years ago. Now it just means a guy who rips you off with a crypto course. That's all entrepreneur means anymore.
Yeah, and
also I want to point out really quickly that this entrepreneur Dennis, he had me on his podcast, and we talked about Kratom, and he promised me that he was going to send me a free sample thing of Kratom. And that was 2 fucking years ago, and I still haven't gotten it.
Okay. Hey, do you know what? What are you, magician? You sound like a fucking pussy, okay?
No.
Get rid of that shit. What are you,
Here's the second thing.
All right. Dennis, you non-sending kratom. All right. No, I'm kidding.
This is the profile photo.
I know this guy. He's actually really cool. I like him. I think
your profile photo should be able to be seen that it's
the problem is he is really cool, but the way he shows it on here is problematic. Can you show the first one here?
Well, the first one is
is he doing a magic trick or is it mentalist?
This dude, he's
Blow my
getting
mind.
pre-selection. He likes thick, tattooed girls.
She's about to
Okay,
come through.
so the first issue here is if you're going to post a reel, this isn't even a reel. It looks like a full-on video. If you're going to do this, you need to get into the shit in 3 seconds. You need to be deep in the shit in 3 seconds. I need to be like, holy fucking shit in 3 seconds.
looks like
If
he's
it takes
confident.
more
This
than
looks
3
like he's
seconds,
pooping his
dead.
pants.
Yeah, this
I
one-
advise to not be pooping your pants while you have the photo taken.
So the issue is here. You have an issue with focus. This is like the peace sign. It's you look like
More
a tourist. Yeah, but tourism, looking like a tourist is not high status. So again, I would not recommend this. And your colors are terrible here. You need to do something. You can go and increase the vibrance. You need to make this. This is a decent picture. I don't have a problem with this at all. In fact, I
But
almost
staring at the camera with the thumbs up.
It's
Yeah,
way
this
too
is-
cold.
That's terrible. Okay, I didn't see that. That's horrible. Oh my god, bro. What are you doing?
And
Like, maybe
also
because
the
he-
lighting here is a bit shit. The body language, the composition isn't great. Like where, like,
Hey, but he's in a cool
Like,
place. He did that.
Here's the
part.
problem. Here's the problem.
Dude,
here's
we're
the
just
problem, Marcus.
destroying this guy.
Here's the problem,
Yeah,
Marcus.
but he
he
didn't create a
First
balance.
off, fuck your bitch and the click you claim.
Marcus, here's the problem. He thinks that him holding his thumb up is ironically funny and that we're going to get his joke.
No, I don't think
You
so. I think
understand?
he's actually generally just posing.
Oh, is it that weird? Okay. That's even stranger.
A lot
I
of
love
guys,
it.
no, Michael. To
I
be
love
fair,
it.
a lot of guys don't understand this. Like I would say the majority.
Why
of guys
is he, dude? It looks
don't
like he's
understand
shitting
that
in every
posing is
photo.
low
Like
value.
he's straining. Why?
Yeah,
looks
this
like
one
he
looks
would
like
say
he's
so.
having like a fucking aneurysm.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this is what I call non-normal biomechanical movement, abnormal biomechanical movement. No one looks like this. No one positions their body like this naturally.
Bro, this guy's working hard. Look at him go. He's double reading right now.
Yeah, it's also super obvious and try hard because everyone knows that you're not going to be reading a book and looking at your laptop.
Bro, this guy is okay. He's a fucking genius. Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
look,
you just can't grind like him,
the
Alex.
type of girl you're gonna get here is maybe some really quirky girl that is gonna end up in a prison asking for surgery or something. But you'll get like a really quirky girl. Maybe that's it. All this just needs to be redone.
This is
Okay?
like
yeah,
pre-selection
this is
done
all-
wrong because they're just gonna think, is this like
His
your
girlfriend.
girlfriend? Like I know here it says I love making new friends, but they're just gonna assume like girlfriend or something.
I
like
don't,
that.
I don't mind if it's with one girl or even if they think you have a girlfriend. The problem is the lighting is terrible in here. It's way too fucking yellow. Like there's so
Yeah,
many
but
things
doesn't
that
the girl
are
need
easily
to be
fixable
hot?
here. So this is funny. It does
Oh.
help if she's hot. It does help if she's hot.
This seems to be the main problem here.
Yeah, the pose is a little
It's a
bit,
bit-
but
yeah.
look, he can.
And it's also
By the
very
way,
long
if
here. You
they're
can just
not hot-
archive it.
Face app and Facetune. If they're not hot, you can make
I
them
say
hot.
archive.
All right,
Archive.
let's find the best photo. Let's find the
Archive,
best photo
archive.
and let's give some compliments. All right, let's find the best photo.
Go
This
in
one
front of the
does
beam.
not
Do the
look
one,
posed.
No,
do the
not
one in
that
front of the beam. Actually, that does look somewhat candid. Yeah, the one in front of the beam. Let me see it. Is he doing a thumbs up? God damn it, bro.
Yes.
No, go to the
Bro.
car one. No. We're gonna find a good one and we're gonna give a compliment before we end this. Go to the.
The Trump rally one. There you go. Is
Oh,
he behind-
politics. Always a great idea.
Yeah, awful. All
Hey,
right,
that's good. Hey, you know what? That's a great photo.
let's.
Look at
Dude,
him.
he
Is wearing
looks
an
like
earring?
he's the one who took back the Capitol.
He looks like the one
Bro.
that's going to have his dick
Bro,
cut off
bro.
in jail.
No.
Let's go down the bottom.
He looks
There's
like the one who
in
took
front of
the
a
shot.
car.
Bro,
Yes,
the one
dude,
who
he
looks
looks like the shooter.
he
What
looks
the?
Go down,
he
go
looks like
down,
the
go
shooter
down.
in Pennsylvania, bro. Like, I'm
Why
gonna
are you
relax.
so
He looks
angry?
like him.
This scares the shit out of girls. If you're this angry in a photo on your Instagram, what are they gonna? They don't want to meet you, bro. I'm sorry. Lighten
Yeah,
it up.
this-
All right.
Which one do you want to see?
Scroll. Keep going. I
Down?
swear there's a good one here somewhere. Okay.
There's not.
Okay. Okay. The one in the car.
This
all
one
right?
is just. Can I say this? This is
Looks
just
like he's a
try hard.
drug dealer.
You're trying
This
too
guy's
much.
got
You're
money, boys.
compensating.
All
Look
right,
at me.
listen.
I'm sitting in a.
It looks like
Mercedes
he's a
with
drug
money.
dealer. Like he just sold some
Yeah.
fucking coke.
Yeah,
He's got
dude,
it. This
I
is the
think
photo.
I think
It's
This is the
okay,
photo.
bro.
I think he ironically thinks
value.
that he's telling a joke. No, I think he thinks he's being funny, but we don't get that he's trying to be funny. So we actually
No,
think he's taking
dude. They
it personally.
thought I was
I
goofy
don't
until I
think
got my
that's the
racks
case.
up.
Let's go, my man. He's been
Yeah,
trolling.
Michael, knowing
He
him,
got his
I
racks
don't
up.
think that's the case.
This isn't even his Instagram. This is just a troll Instagram. He's got one where he's like fucking killing it. This guy's got so many
Okay.
women around him and shit. We just go troll boys. All right, hey,
Yeah, we got
change your Instagram, get new photos.
Hey, GG. We gotta do a new. What's? Let's.
All right.
Dude,
this was actually-
if anyone else wants their self-esteem annihilated,
people-
please.
That was
post
kind of
it. We're
frightening,
doing-
bro.
we're doing
That was
one
kind of
more.
frightening.
There's one more that someone posted.
man.
Just have to scroll.
Dude,
up.
he was like shitting his pants in every photo. God damn it.
Okay,
Okay,
there's Dom Belgi. Do this one.
All right, I'll grab it. Dom Mazzetti. All right, Dom dot Bel
This
Giovanni.
guy already looks good in his fucking
Allora.
fucking photo. I reckon we
Dude,
got a
Jay,
good one.
by the way, out there in Florida, there's a guy named Jay Harders who takes cover photos. You guys look him up. Jay Harders is a fucking G when it comes to this. Jay Harders great. Look again. No, we don't work with him or whatever. He's
No
just
comment.
taking photos of me. Absolutely. You know Jay?
Yeah, he lives in my city.
He didn't
all right.
send him freedom.
Dom Belgiovanni. He's got the check.
Belgiovanni.
That's how you know he's fucking legit.
Oh, we're on. All right, Doctor
He's
of
only
Engineering.
Doc-
1 year
Doctor of
late on
Engineering.
that.
Oh,
Business
sorry. I
development.
was gonna make one other comment. In general, I would recommend don't put dots and don't put underscores in your name. It's just harder to type in, harder to get to a girl in a nightclub. Just something that's like memorable, I think is great. Like Casey Redbeard, Austen's Life, things like this that are just super memorable, stick in your head,
Sir
kind of like
Alex
marketing.
Z.
Oh, damn.
Cool. You wanted to see this. Doctor of
Yes,
Engineering,
Doctor of Engineering, Business Development. All right, guitar. and
Tucson,
mountain-
Arizona.
Harrison
I
Mountain
think it needs
Export.
like a little bit of humor. That's what I, in my opinion.
In his bio?
Yeah, just a little bit.
I can see
Like,
that.
Yeah, like in my
This is
bio,
it's
I'd
just very
say-
standard.
very
There's a
standard,
couple
yeah.
ways to go about this. You can do like the bullet point thing. I like the thing of like just giving a story. Like someone just says, "Hey, I'm here." Like my friend David, it's like here to live the most spontaneous, adventurous life possible. And then like you see his photos beneath, and it's just like super congruent. I like that.
Yeah, as long as
But,
nice and short, that is good. I like
Yeah, mine
All right.
says travel, huskies, and wine.
This is how you know this guy's
on my
serious. It's every
photos.
photo is orange and blue. Got that teal and blue.
Well, let's
color
go through
grading.
these
One by one.
Okay, my first thing is this guy.
I think
has
this
no-
this is obviously
No.
posed, but it's super sick. If you have a
No.
few of these like photos,
Don't do black
I
and
think
white
it's fine.
photos.
Oh, I think if you mix it up every once in a while, I think you can do
Yeah.
anything once. I think it's fine.
Yeah, anything.
sick.
That's pretty cool.
climbing photo.
That's pretty fucking cool.
awesome.
This one is
Because
cool.
it's showing, but it's also showing some definition in his back, bro. Like I think that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Doctor of
Holy
Engineering.
fucking shit.
Rope
Okay, this is pretty dope. Okay.
Yeah. Girls are gonna be like,
I-
damn, this guy has balls.
Except for the fact that he's wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
and a,
what
and
I-
a,
that
and a
means he
harness.
wears- I mean,
helmets.
all,
Yeah,
all
hold
the
on.
cool kids
Hey.
don't wear.
that means he wears condoms, bro. That's not gonna work for this Miami
Okay.
girls.
Dude, I think
like
this
this one.
is pretty
Cool.
cool.
It would be better if he showed his face, but this one's cool.
So
Yep.
the only thing, the pattern I'm noticing, at least the first 6, there's just like he's just completely alone. Now he looks like a bit like he's pooping his pants in this one, but that's fine. You know, some
Bro,
girls like
you
to
see
smolder.
everyone pooping the pants. They're pooping
No,
I mean,
I'm gonna
this guy
smile
looks
all
like
the time
he's,
around
Massive
Austin.
improvement.
it's pretty
Yeah.
good. It's definitely a leg up from the last guy, but just alone in every photo, I think is too much.
Well,
I
keep
think
going.
you
I
should
think there's
be-
somewhere where he has some girls
Oh.
with him. There we go.
The
Boom.
next one.
But this one,
And these are
what is
hot
this?
girls.
Nobody told me to fly was down all night.
They are hot, but I can also tell you that's face app. So we don't know if they're hot. We assume they're hot. Guys, there's no reason you can't just face app and Facetune. And when you do it, the girls hit you up and like, dude, how did you make me look like this in the photo? I get this all the time.
This almost seems like he came to that event and then they
Yeah.
were there and they took
And then
photos
they
at
took a
each
photo
guy
with
coming
him.
up.
Yeah.
But he
Look at
looks
his
like he
hand.
belongs. It doesn't look like
look at
he's
his-
posing
Yeah,
as-
well, I happen to know Dom, and he invited those girls. They came with him. But yeah, go ahead.
I just think
nice.
these photos in front of like the billboard thing behind and shit are just worse than if there was just you had your mate there with a camera just taking photos.
Exactly.
Girls are
Yeah.
engaging with you because
Yeah.
look, I agree for a billboard type photo like this, it does look good because the girls are kind of they're very close with him. They got that, but you see his hand, he's got it closed. He kind of feels a bit stiff. Overall, net positive. Like this is better than fucking 99% of profiles.
Yeah, exactly.
Marcus, that's my Marcus.
Marcus,
That's totally my fault. So yeah, have you seen the Keanu Reeves things where he doesn't touch the girls? I tell the guys don't ever have any photos where it looks like you're touching the girls. That's why.
Okay.
That's why he's doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
This one I think could be
You know,
archived.
sorry, I
What's
can
the
relate
logic
anything.
behind that?
I got a question. If you know the girl, like if you've invited them, you slept with them and shit, or you're like friends with them, would you still Keanu Reeves it?
I like,
Or are you just
Keanu's
saying this
logic.
to be
I'm definitely not saying you're wrong. And if it's my girlfriend, I'll definitely do it. I have a video of me like all over my girlfriend, and when we're interviewing.
What is the logic behind that?
Dude, we're out here in this
Photo.
woke ass Me Too California shit, bro. I see too many dudes get hemmed up, and I just like, hey man, just protect yourself.
But you
bro.
don't even
Like
live in
all I do.
California. You live in Vegas, don't you?
But I'm there 12 times a year, and that
Oh.
event, that teatro event, was Barry Bly's event, and I've just seen woke ass shit happen. But guys, I'm not saying you're wrong. I just like I feel like I have cameras in my common areas. When I pull a threesome, like I have like literally like I want there to be as much protection as possible.
Dude, I
How
put
many
cameras in their
videos do you have?
pussies, like
Crazy.
they can just see every stroke.
Cameras in their pussies. That's
monitored.
incredible, bro. That's okay.
Yeah.
I don't do that. That's
Yeah, I put an Apple Watch on my
Yeah.
cock. Just
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so I think this one should be This one should be
I wouldn't
archived. I don't think it
surprised
adds
if it does.
anything. This is kind of cool, but it's like I don't know. You're just kind of like sad,
It's
staring
neutral.
off into the distance.
Dude, I love these colors though. You know, I see what you're saying, but I love the colors in there.
The colors are
Yeah,
good.
this I think is
Yeah.
sick. It obviously is posed, but it's like.
But you
I
know
think
what?
this-
I'm going to say this.
sick.
He's using too many filters. I think that guy should, face app is fine, but don't use
It changes
filters.
every photo. Yeah, it's like completely different.
Yeah.
Oh, this is not. That's not face up. That's going to be what's it called? Lightroom.
Life gives you balls.
This is just kind of
Wait,
scary. I don't know.
But that's a filter,
caption.
right?
Bad lighting.
Lightroom is way more like Face App is an app you can put on your phone for $5. Lightroom is like it's an Adobe.
Also,
edition. You have to do it.
Yeah, but
side
the point
note,
I'm making
when
is
you're
that
next to
he's
big
using,
blocks like
filters.
this, when you're next to big blocks like this, it'll tend to make you look smaller. Like there's people that like walk by like a building and
Yeah.
the blocks are just oversized.
Maybe he
It
could
just makes you look
crop it
smaller.
differently. I think maybe he crops that as 5x4. Then maybe that would work a little bit.
Also, I'm
Yeah.
not sure about the background, like the slogan there.
I think,
think it's
just
funny.
in general,
That
more
is awesome.
photos with friends. This
Yeah,
obviously
that's a cool
sick.
photo.
More photos
This is a
with
cool photo.
friends.
Yeah.
more,
Yeah, because,
more,
okay, this is-
more
this
like
is my
in the
feeling,
moment
right, on this
photos and more
profile.
photos with friends.
This is what I
Be the
think. I think
biggest thing for me.
these are fucking amazing, sick photos. I think when a girl sees this, they think this guy's got a cool lifestyle. He's probably got some disposable income here. He probably travels around a lot. But it's like that's just on repeat. It felt like for a long time there. I don't see any photos with friends. I
Oh,
don't see
get
any
rid of
friends
go
photos. I
back
don't see
one?
any photos
Awesome.
with girls. I think
So
he just
there
needs to add
was
those in
there's
there.
this one and then there's also this one which are good, but yeah, I think in general like the balance.
It's rare.
We're
yeah.
obviously being like a very harsh on this.
hypercritical.
Like I think
Yeah,
this
it's a
guy,
great
like we
profile.
said, is not better than 99% of male profiles for sure.
That's crazy. I wonder where he learned it from.
I want to
That's
actually read some of his captions. Definitely get rid of that photo.
This
photo
one is not good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just think almost all the photos he has in this blue like hoodie just not the best.
Woke up this morning, got myself like,
And
he
also
should-
making yourself small in
I think
every
that's a lyric
frame.
of it.
I don't
That's
understand this.
That's a lyric.
Yeah, this is
Like-
all lifestyle photography, right? So it's like you make yourself small, use a zoomed in lens, like a focal length of like 90 or some shit. You sit back.
Yeah.
But the problem is like these are cool to have like I would say like 3 or 4, and then
Exactly,
you want
not
the
too
other
many.
ones to be showing more about your like personality, your lifestyle, the girls around you.
This one, poopy face
yeah.
plus looking off. I don't think.
Okay,
it's
so
the best.
again, like I said before, the change up, that he pooped on the couch. Yeah, It's, the fastball, the change up, and the curveball. Like that's what I would say. Like mix it up, like what Marcus was saying.
This
Okay,
is
this
is
is
a
just,
restaurant in New
this
York.
is like taken from like an Android from like 2014.
Oh yeah. When you zoom in on it, that's different. But this one also, like these all have filters.
Yeah, this is in Miami. This is Brickell City Center, Miami.
Yeah.
Like,
I've
you
seen
can
this
get
photo
good photos
4,000
here.
times.
It's too zoomed out.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's they're going for the lifestyle pick here. So the zoom out is
If he
the focus on
archived the bad photos, it would make the whole
Yeah,
profile
yeah,
be
yeah.
just be
Yeah,
much
agree.
better.
I agree.
and we just need some more photos of you like hanging with people, right? Like,
And
the
there's
problem is
even
I've seen guys with really good profiles like this that I think I'm like, dude, what a sick fucking profile. And then I show girls and they're like, is he lonely? Like, why is he by himself? So you just need those mates to take some photos. That's all.
That's
which is
interesting.
tough because then you have to have friends and that you have to
fuck all
get
that.
out there.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Man.
annoying, dude.
It's about
do
the
you wanna be my
perception
friend,
of being
Austin?
cool, not actually being cool. That's fucking gay.
right.
We
right.
would never do that.
Yeah. So what we're going to teach you guys in the next week's episode is how to get the perception of being cool so that you can attract a woman to touch your wiener. So thanks for tuning in.
Cheers.
Alex,
And we'll
you
talk
wanna
about
close it?
politics.
All right, let me.
Oh yeah, let's circle back. Dude, this fucking Harris chick, she's a government plant, bro.
Okay, wait.
Who-
Let's not bring
she's-
it back
who
to
elected
politics
her?
if we're trying to
Who
end the
elected her?
podcast.
She wasn't elected. She's a plant for sure. I think the CIA brought her in there.
All right, and this was interesting because we spent the first hour talking about just pure game, and then we spent about 25 minutes talking about nothing but politics,
I think it was
and that's
more
when
than
it got the
25 minutes.
most energetic, we'll say. And then we brought it back to like Instagram roast. But I think the second guy's Instagram is pretty decent. I agree with.
Yeah.
I forget if it was you, Marcus, or you, Austin, who said that. If he's just archives his worst photos, then he'll have a solid Instagram, way better than most guys. But yeah, I think this is gonna be fun. We're gonna do this every week. So for the next one, we'll cover a new topic. You guys can let me know in the comments what topic you want us to cover or focus on for the next one. But yeah, any closing thoughts, guys?
No, I had fun. It was good times. Thanks, boys.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Oh, Michael,
I think
if you ever want to do a political debate, I'm totally down on a separate time.
Well, no, too late. We're running out of time. It's after tomorrow. I don't give a shit. It's not going to get me any views. I don't fucking care. No, I'm just kidding. The what I was going to say is, I think we all get laid, so us talking about women is not that controversial. And then when we talk about progressive versus conservative politics, it got more animated. I think that's what goes on there. So
because I think
part
we
of why
agree
that's-
on like 95% of like getting laid type of shit.
Sure. Like I think pre-selection is more powerful than most people do, and it's just because I've seen myself worm my way into places with women that I thought in a million years I had no business of being with.
No, I agree.
Other
I think
people-
pre-selection is huge. I guess where you and I might disagree a bit is just like the level of work required to get there.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I do agree with you. If you can get there, it's a super.
Shout out to BAs from Romania
and
and Nigeria. Shout out to Romanian and Nigeria and Filipino VAs, bro. They are great. They make your life easy. Cool.
All right, cool. Does everyone just want to really quickly plug where people can find them and whatever, anything else? Let's start with
Yeah,
you,
my
Austin.
name's Austin Summers. You can find me at austinsummers.com, Austin Summers on Instagram, Austin Summers on YouTube.
/Pooface.
Also, tell Austin in the comments to stop being lazy and come to Miami so we can film a collab.
Dude, I fucking hate Miami. Every day, I'll tell you this. For like 3 months straight, every day I woke up in Tampa, I was grateful that I was not in Miami. Like I was overcome by gratitude, just like thank God I'm
Except
not.
when you guys had that massive storm. Probably not during that day.
It was actually pretty tight, dude. I stayed here for the storm. It was a good view.
All right, Marcus.
I'm pretty sure the left organized that storm. You can find me at Ultimate Man Project.
No, dude, it's the Jews.
Yeah, you can
we
just
just
search
got
up on YouTube.
demonetized.
We are done, bro. We are completely done, bro.
Yo,
Guys,
thanks for
okay,
having
I'm
us
not
on your
Jewish.
channel,
I'm not
Alex.
Jewish, so I can say it. It's okay. I
Yeah,
give
I think we
Marcus
should
the
have
free
tours
pass.
of the channels and we'll go on Austin's and talk some shit. All right, yeah, Ultimate Man Project. You can check us out there.
Cool. Well, you guys are already at my channel, so you know where I am. Michael.
Guys, if you want, like we just did right there with the Instagram profiles, we have, if you want to go on our free school server, it's school.com/men of action free. We have, I think right now we have 60 Instagram profiles of guys. But the thing is, they're not all one formula. Some guys don't want to post any pre-selection. Some guys want to post a ton of pre-selection. It's just different ones, and you just pick the archetype you like. And also, if you guys go to moamentoring.com/testimonials, there's 200 video testimonials that we put up for different guys. Because I understand a lot of stuff I talk about, it sounds like maybe it's a lot of work. I've never saved so much time and money. During COVID, we would throw these massive ragers and we wouldn't spend a fucking penny. If you want to learn how we did it, just hit me up. If you want to level up your networking, your communication, your leadership, or your dating, just hit us up at school.com/men of action.
I'll just quickly answer this. No, first of all, I don't know if we're going to even have the answer tomorrow. It might take a few days. And second of all, no, but another YouTuber did invite me on their channel. I already told them that I would make an appearance for a little bit. I have a pretty busy day tomorrow, but I will probably be on someone's channel talking about my opinion, but it won't be my own.
How pissed will everyone be if it's like 11 p.m. and they still haven't declared a win? I'm gonna be pissed.
They won't. I don't think they will. Like last
you're right.
election,
Of course, you're right.
3 minutes.
Hey, here's my prediction. Ready? Here's my prediction. You got this on record. Whoever loses is not going to accept that they lost tomorrow. There's my prediction. That's my prediction tomorrow.
I think one of the people won't accept.
Yeah,
I think whoever
It's
loses,
the person
they're
who's
not gonna
never
accept
accepted an L. Yeah. All right, cool. Anyway, thanks everyone. We're gonna see you guys back in a week. It was fun. I think it's gonna build up more and more the more we do these. All right, take it easy, guys.
All right, later.